Okay, welcome everyone for another episode of the Group Up Podcast. It has been a long time since I have said those words, but we're back once again to discuss all things gaming. Let me introduce my guests who need no introduction, brought the squad back, and then I will explain what we're here for with the Rivals versus Overwatch debate, not clickbait. In the bottom right, we have, coming from not Lijiang Tower, but Sam, describe your background today, Samito.
Listen, we've got what map on Rivals is? Wait, what map is
I
this?
don't think it exists anymore. Isn't that the one that's gone? Like that's
Yeah.
The
Rant about that, by the way, coming at some point in this video. I think you guys are going to agree, but I guess it's a little bit more lively, and there's actually, I feel like there's lore in it. Also, Alchemax in the background, to anybody who played, I think it was Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. You guys will understand why I think this is cool. But yeah, we're back. It's going to be a fun one today.
Awesome. Good to have you back. In the top left, in not a dungeon anymore, released from jail, is my man Bogur. Bogur, what's up?
It's great, except the fact that I lost like 50 million games in rank today. It's good. I'm chill. No, I'm in a state of zen. I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, guy who doesn't care.
Listen,
guy who definitely doesn't care.
No, listen. I might be slightly upset, but I'm not obsessed. You know what I mean? I'm just voicing my opinion.
Wait, what are you at right now? Are you below me? That would be peak.
Bro, I was eternity 60 points. I'm now slash shooter. I'm dialed. I'm dialed.
I'm washed.
I'm dialed.
Let's go. That's what you do. You just gotta get to your rank early on, and then just don't play again for the rest of the season. Yeah. That's the strat. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Impressive work as always, Bogur. In the bottom left, I think all of you got new backgrounds since I last spoke. I'm the only one remaining in my jail. But in the bottom left, now a dog dad since the podcast last aired, it's Flats. Flats, what's up?
Hello. He's being a little menace this morning. You see him down here?
Oh, there he is.
What are you doing?
Oh, viewers, you can't see this right now.
Milk. He's chewing, so you know what? I won't disturb him because he can definitely be worse.
He gets the cute pass, which is just, you look cute as fuck, you get to do whatever you want.
He'll at some point start begging for attention. So if I start holding him and like rocking him around, you know what's going on at that point. Like, I'll be like mid-ram, like, dude, this shit fucking sucks.
Sorry. Well, we'll see what the nature of this discussion ends up being. So to set the scene, guys, and I apologize if I'm rusty. It's been, I think, over a year since we did this, or somewhere in that region, like a year. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to have a very constructive discussion about Overwatch and Marvel Rivals together. Because, I mean, again, I've been out of a little bit touch with the gaming community, but anytime I see Rivals and Overwatch mentioned together, it's always some really petty shit. It's always some really, like, childish, somebody sharing, like, Twitch numbers or, like, Steam numbers. Basically, everybody's trying to get a one-up over the other. It's all a gotcha, like, oh, look, see, this game is failing, that game is failing. But I think we all would agree that the games have been a big boon to each other. Like, the existence of Rivals has really helped Overwatch. The existence of Overwatch, obviously, foundational to Rivals. So in that spirit, I want to try and discuss what are the good things about both games that they can kind of learn from each other. Like, how have the games symbiotically pushed each other to higher heights? And so to that end, we first need to set the scene. So I'm going to ask my homies here to give me their assessment of where the two games stand right now. And obviously, I'll caveat this by saying that, and people are already going to be mad at me in the comment section, which is like, well, you're just doing this after Overwatch released the biggest update, but Marvel Rivals hasn't released its new season yet, and it's on a low period. So we're not going to look at the absolute immediate. We're going to look at what is the short-term future of the games, right? So obviously, you can say, right now, I think Overwatch is a 7 out of 10 and Marvel Rivals is a 5 out of 10. But I think Marvel Rivals is trending upwards, but Overwatch is trending downwards, right? Or however you want to phrase your opinion. So yeah, where do you rate the games now and how do you see them trending in the coming months? We'll go with Sam first. Sam.
I'll be honest. I don't think I've launched Rivals in like a month. I've been stuck on Overwatch. I like Overwatch a lot right now. Like, this is the best Overwatch update since the good old October 2020 facts. Dare I reference it, right? For the meme. But,
the bingo's already been hit, man. We're 5 seconds into the podcast. Bingo.
Samito said he likes Overwatch. Crazy sentence right there. I think we should wrap it up.
I know.
Explain the background then.
First of all,
No,
I couldn't, I, c-
baiting.
I couldn't find my Li Shang background. I'm not gonna lie. I'll have to do some digging on that file. Hit up Bupasaurus to get it. Also, Alchemax is lit. For those of you who don't, Alchemax in the Marvel lore is freaking sweet. But man, I mean, I think Overwatch has really done a great job of adapting to what Rivals did. I think Rivals did better innovation, obviously, with like hero bands, which I know Flats I saw. I think maybe it was you or Boger talking about like wanting more bands in the next season as they add more and more characters, which I think would be very, very helpful to the game. But honestly, like, I really just miss the Overwatch engine. It's hard for me to get more than 140 frames on Rivals. 6v6 open queue with bans. And frankly, Overwatch's better ban system because there's no duplicate bans. Like they took what Rivals did and made it better. And I hope Rivals can make those same improvements. And overall, the games have been really good for each other. I think that it turns out there is enough room for two. And, I think that these games have done nothing but make each other better, and I hope they continue to do so. I've just been enjoying this Overwatch update. I won't get into Deadlock on this podcast because I've had a lot of fun learning Deadlock. That's been like a breath of fresh air for me as well. But no, I've honestly been playing a lot more Overwatch. I like Overwatch more currently than I do for Rivals, and I'm sure we're going to get to the reasons as to why later on, but I'll toss it to these next two guys and hear what they have to say.
Thank you. That's a good scene set. I won't push you for a rating, but I'm gonna push Bogur. Bogur, I need numbers so that someone on Twitter can flame you about them.
Numbers for what?
Like out of 10, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, and then explain.
Dude, he just deranked 2 ranks. This might not. If you want some rage comments, this is the time to ask him right now.
Listen,
He knows what he's doing.
listen.
He's a professional.
I'm a professional. This is all part of my plan. But for Rivals right now, it's not too fun because we've been playing kind of the same meta over and over again, and the ban system is clearly worse than Overwatch. Like Overwatch ban system is very clean and there's no duplicate bans, and I like that quite a bit. And it's also quite a bit faster than Rivals. And again, with Rivals, we've just kind of been playing the same characters over and over and over again, and it's become really, really stale. So I do wish we had more bans in Rivals overall. I don't think this Rivals season is very fun. I think a lot of people would agree with me that this Rivals season has by far, maybe not been the worst, but like second or third in terms of like how bad it is. It's just also not fun with the amount of throwers there were. Now they're actually doing something about it, but there was a throwing Discord. I don't know if you heard about it, SB, a throwing website. People would pay bounties. There were bounty hunters going after streamers. It was insane. It still is probably happening to some extent, and it is quite annoying. And for Overwatch, I agree with Samito in the sense that right now the game feels really fresh. Me and Flats actually played yesterday. There's a lot of funny things you can do. There's a lot of new characters. I really like the new characters quite a bit. I like how the game feels as well. I like watching characters actually get punished. Like if somebody plays in a bad spot, plays not behind cover, plays in the open, they die. And I also enjoy the skill level of the average player, even in lower ranks in Overwatch. It's quite a bit better than in Rivals. I know Overwatch a little bit older, a little bit 9 10 8 years 9 years, I don't know, 10 years I think by now. So the players are obviously better than Rivals players, but just simple concepts like cover, nobody does that in Rivals. Nobody sits behind cover because healing is so like such a big factor in the game. You don't need to sit behind cover because you can just out heal any damage. People don't take angles in Rivals. People don't take high ground in Rivals. People just run it down mid, and it's kind of annoying to look at because if you can do these 3 things and you have good aim, you just win every game. Like I feel like that's like those concepts that are really basic. People don't even follow it in the game. And so if you want a more serious experience and you want a more cleaner experience, and surprisingly, I know it's crazy to say, if you want to have more solo carry potential, I would say Overwatch is way more fun. But if you just want to turn off your brain, run it down on Cloak and Dagger, heal your team, and then throw out your ult and like feel hyped that you faded like a 6-man strange ult, that's also fine. I think it's just Rivals way more casual. Overwatch right now feels a lot more competitive and a lot more fresh.
And do you see that trend? Just to final thoughts. We'll obviously dive into this deeper, but do you see that trending upwards or downwards for like Rivals? Like we said, this is obviously a bad time for Rivals, but do you think they're gonna turn it around like in the next season and all that?
I agree. I think Rivals devs always. I mean, there's always something to criticize about the developers, but I think they do listen. I think we complained about We complained about throwers. They started doing something about the throwers. I think whenever they see that the game is going down, they do something. They change stuff. They listen to the player base way more than Overwatch did back in the day, right? Like I feel like they're way faster to address things, and I'm sure they're gonna address it in season 7. And hopefully they release a big patch notes and change up the meta and like make things a little bit more fresh. I at no point do I believe that this is the end of Rivals and they won't do anything about it. I think Rivals is still a big game. Everybody plays it. My friends play the game, and it's just still a fun game if you don't want to take it too seriously. And I think it's really funny, especially with the ban system and a lot of mechanics that Overwatch took them from Rivals. Like Overwatch did not want to implement them until they saw that Rivals implemented it, and it worked and worked really well. And they're like, damn, maybe we should implement that. And they did their own version, which is inherently better than Rivals. And now Rivals can look at Overwatch, be like, okay, this works. Maybe we should implement this and that, and do. So it is, they learn from each other, and I think competition is great.
Hey guys, SEB here, and welcome back to the Group Up podcast. The podcast is back for the short term, but its long-term future remains undecided. If you'd like to support this content and want to see the continued release of episodes, then please consider supporting the podcast directly. You can sign up to the SVP Patreon for a monthly pledge or make a direct one-time donation via PayPal, the links to both of which will be in the video description and the pinned comment to this video. Every contribution, big or small, really helps my content keep going, so if you've enjoyed the podcast now or in the past, then please do consider supporting. Otherwise, I just want to thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you'll keep enjoying this content. And to that end, back to the discussion. Definitely. And yeah, I think that sets up nice. I'm going to take it to Flats now to kind of set a bigger picture scene, because from what Sam and Bogur are both saying there, it's kind of like, look, right now Overwatch is killing it. They've done a really good job, and Rivals is maybe at a low period. So again, it's maybe unfair to compare right now. So I'm going to take it to Flats, and Flats, obviously, if you disagree, feel free to say, actually, I don't agree with the assessment those two gave. But what's the let's take a slightly wider picture. Let's take 6 months to this point, and then where you see it going another month or two from now. How has the evolution of these games gone, and how have they kind of bounced off of each other?
Well, the way I look at it is it's just a pendulum swinging back and forth, right? It's the same group of players playing both games. I don't know. There's this weird undertone by the hardcores of each game where it's they're superior to the other, and it's no, you guys are just idiots. You're just sitting on your side of the fence and not enjoying the potential of playing whatever the fuck you want every day. That said, though, Rivals in January had its newest peak since season 3. It peaked at 250,000 players on Steam because of Deadpool. It was a huge first half of the season. And people were like, holy shit, they actually cooked. This is gas. And it was. And then it runs out of steam until its next patch, because it's a live service game in which Rivals understands its base is more casual. It's not trying to be a hyper competitive game, because if you want to be a hyper competitive game, you play Overwatch, right? People have had that for 10 years. You're never going to catch that quickly. And so they lean into that, and they're going to be a game that has big beats of, huge hero comes out, super love, super fun for 2 weeks, and then you just go do something else. And that's how you enjoy Rivals, genuinely. And Overwatch, as great as the season was, are we going to pretend it wasn't kind of in the gutter for 4 months from January to October? Before that, it was after Wu Yang release, there was just nothing. Even Vendetta season, people thought was a filler season, and all I saw was just people complaining all over the place of oh my god, why fight back? Why are we not doing anything? What's going on? And they were saving up, obviously, to launch their big season in February. They do that all the time. They did it last year too. There's no surprise. You can see it coming from 9 miles away. Maybe next year now we okay, now you've done it 3 times in a row. Okay, now we know what's coming again. That said, though, when this same thing happened last year, Overwatch had a lot of momentum into April, and then it released Stadium, and it had a lot of momentum for another month or so, and then it kind of tapered back off again. And I wonder if the same thing will happen again, because obviously when you inject 5 heroes, a bunch of different changes, you get people back into the game, maybe they haven't played a while, there's a rank reset, you get them to grind. Again, it's a competitive game, so there's that reward for grinding your way up, and you're starting lower again. They also changed the rank system, to my knowledge, where they made it a little bit easier to climb again. It was a little tough there for a little bit, but for example, for a while there would be 10 champion players a season. They'd be champ 5. Now there's tons of champion players. So you kind of scale that up, it's a little easier to climb. You get that dopamine, you get that reward. Although I guess the champion points thing was kind of a disaster last season. I guess they've kind of changed it to make it better. But I guess that's probably to fight against campers. So it gets like people who are really dedicated to grind a lot more. So streamers are playing more, and pro players play more, and they care about like grinding up because there's actually, you have a little bit of competition instead of just getting really high rank and then camping. But Overwatch is a 10-year-old game, and like I think did nail it with the whole, start to lean back into their lore and make every season kind of a story time thing with like, for example, at some point I'm sure they're going to iterate on like what happened after Vendetta killed Doomfist, right? And it's like those kind of things is what's going to get people outside of the playing everyday sphere to come back all the time and like come and take a look. So as long as they keep like what they're doing and keep pumping out new content, which by the way, and now it's my turn to rage bait the YouTube commenters. You motherfuckers for years would fucking stamp your little feeties and say, no, we don't want new heroes. Releasing too many new heroes, they're always slop, and new content is bad, and nobody wants that, and it's stupid, and I like my purest. Fuck you. Fuck your purest balance bullshit. Like, it's just, it's not real. Like, they release a bunch of content, and guess what? Everyone's like, oh shit, this is fucking gas. And guess what? You don't even get to play like 3 of the heroes. Like Cat's permaban, Dominez permaban, right? And then like Onron kind of blows, right? Like a little bit. So you know what I mean? So like there's like a few heroes you don't even get to really play. But you know what's funny? When you release good content for your game, people will play it and they enjoy it and they come back more often. That's crazy. So the question is, can Overwatch keep that up for a whole year? Because they're doing 10 heroes the whole year. What's the next hero look like? I don't think there's another tank hero coming till like the end of the year. Fucking shocker in that department. But it's like, this is a new era. Like, we've never seen them do this before. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing that it took this long. Which is like why I'm super grateful to Rivals even existing. Because like, for those who don't know, when Overwatch launched in 2016, the hero cadence was 3 heroes a year. That was 2016. They had like a 200-person dev team. It's actually probably had less than that. It's probably much bigger now because they have so many things with Stadium, and the live service game has a lot more support that it used to have. And it's like, I don't know why it took so long to get here. So it's like a little bit of uncharted territory. But I think as long as Rivals keeps fighting back, then Overwatch will keep doing its thing and keep doing it well. I do think I disagree with you guys on the hero bans thing. Like, I understand that like the no duplicate ban is like the only thing that I think is like a huge win, but you can only ban 2 of one role. And like, imagine you play Rivals and you can't ban 3 supports. Like, how often do we want to ban 3 supports in Rivals? Like, it was like multiple seasons in a row. It's like, oh, we wanted to ban Gambit Loki. Oh, well, guess what? They counter banned us with like a shitty Atom ban. Now we can't ban like Gambit.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. I'll be honest about that. Like, Rivals balancing is just way more whack than Overwatch, in the sense that like Gambit, like, I remember I explained Gambit to a bunch of Overwatch players because I was doing a podcast with Derpy, and they couldn't believe that character is real. Like, they couldn't believe that character actually exists in Rivals, right? So they're banning multiple characters from the same row kind of makes sense. In Overwatch, like, I feel like there's strength in all, like, in every row there's at least one character you can ban out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to target ban one row. And also, like, no duplicate bans does, like, it's so good. Like, genuinely.
Well, that's still a restriction, though, right? Like, that's still like kind of an annoying restriction. Like, if you get into a game and you're like, okay, we don't want to play against these heroes, right? Like, for example, previously, Diva and Zarya have been like hard meta for like 6 months before like they had a few changes, right? So like every game Diva Zarya was banned. What if you get into a game and it's like, we want to ban Diva Zarya because fuck those two, but also like Sigma's really strong here. I don't want to play against Sigma either.
Well, that's different,
like,
though.
beat you?
That's different than dupe bans. You're talking about the cap per role per ban, not
Yeah.
2 teams banning
right.
the same hero. I think that you guys are talking about 2 different things. You're not wrong.
No,
Sorry
no.
to cut you off.
No, I know.
I
That's
know
why I
what
said-
Fud's saying. I agree with him.
I was saying that the good is no duplicate.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But
Yeah.
the bad is the cap. Like, I think
Well,
that's stupid. And
you
I
can
think that
criticize
it's
both.
so superior is crazy.
We can mix it, you know. We can have
We can
more
hate on
bans
both, guys.
and
That's an
yeah,
option.
we can hate on both. You know, we can hate on both. You know,
We can piss
No,
everyone
yeah.
off.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
But another positive way to frame it is that
the positive way of framing is they both still have room to grow from each other, right? Like,
Rivals could say let's not do the duplicate bans, and Overwatch could say let's start adding more. Because I'm still holding some rage over like the when I left years ago, we were here arguing for bans for years, and then now, and people were like, "No, it won't work in Overwatch. There's like not enough heroes," and all those arguments kind of have collapsed since then, right? We kind of see very obviously how good it is. So
that's still around though.
What?
That Overwatch mentality, 100% is still around.
Yeah.
Like I see it. Like I'm not trying to flame anyone, but like they're a lot more communicative now than they used to be. So you could see like devs talking to Twitch chats, or like like they talk on Twitter or whatever it is. And like if you have like a more advanced suggestion, they will always go, well, what about like this small niche case? And it's like that is the thing that has always held them back for years. Rivals isn't afraid of that, and even if they fuck up, like they will swing the bat and go for it, and then they'll go, ah shit, that kind of sucked, and either try to like fix it or like go back. Overwatch is very methodical in the way it goes. That's what probably worries me more than anything long term, because like the way I think of it is like they're almost like a grandma on their on their walker. Like they're sturdy, they got their walker, they're good to go. And then like Rivals is a kid trying to pull them, so grandma's going a little faster, But like if you didn't have the kid pulling them, grandma would be taking her damn time, putting that thing forward 2 steps, put her thing forward 2 steps, But now like kids pulling on them real quick, it's like gotta go faster. But she's hanging in there, so.
Yeah,
It
at the
is
same
what it
time,
is.
though, I think that Overwatch is a much more refined game than Rivals, which is why they do
Oh, for
that.
sure.
And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing in some aspects. Like, to challenge some of the ban discussion here, I think the main reason why you're trying to ban triple support more consistently in Rivals is because they haven't improved their gameplay loop. And SVB, this might be a good segue. This is the biggest reason why I've stopped playing Rivals. I saw one of your shorts, Flats, and I'm going to disagree with your point. You said that you disagree. Well, I'm not going to disagree. I'm going to iterate, because I think it's a bit of apples to oranges where people are trying to make these comparisons, where you said that people complaining that the Rivals meta was the same was stupid because there's a lot of different characters that have been played in meta. And you're right, but you are right when you say that. And I think what people are mixing up is the technicality, in that the gameplay loop and the order of operation and fights feels identical now to what it did when the game came out, in that you're sitting there waiting to build an ult, or particularly a support ult, every 30 seconds. And it doesn't really matter what support you ban. That just feels like how the fights break down, because I don't feel like there's any neutral in that game. Coming back to Overwatch.
That's a fundamental gameplay issue. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. 100%, you're right.
And I think the thing that they should do to fix that would make the game so much better. And SPB, this is why I struggle to tell you what's going to happen in the next 6 months, because both of these games could just decide, you know what, we're going to do this, and it could make their game so much better. Like, I'll talk about what I think it would be for Overwatch, but for Rivals, they have triple support. And in my opinion, the best thing that you can do to triple support is nerf every ult duration. Every ult, including DPS ults, should be like 30% less. I've been saying this for seasons. Like, I don't think that Luna ult or Cloaker or any of these ults should last more than 10 seconds when their build rates are so fast and their neutral cooldowns are so strong. And you can nerf every DPS ult in the process. But I'm so tired, and this makes me so mad every time I see this comment on Twitter, where I'll come out and I'll be like, yo, like, the idea that everyone is super, if everything's broken, nothing is so cap. And then everyone will be like, oh, it's a superhero game, they should have superpowers and feel like they are.
I still run with it. I like it. I like doing it, because now you can't disagree with me anymore. It's like, wait a minute, hang on. You said that. You came up with that. So like now it's. I'm just saying what you said.
I'll let Bogur get in as well. Sam, finish your Flats. Just finish your.
Some people it's a mentality thing, because like at the end of the day, a lot of people just don't want to take the game as seriously, and like as we do, or like as I do, or Samito, or like Flats. I don't know how much Flats grinds serious. I don't think he does anymore. I think he's just there for the vibes at this point, right? Like and like I'm more inclined to be in the same boat as Flats nowadays, because it does get frustrating to actually face the same issues and have no neutral and play the same gameplay loop. Or you can just not care and live your superhero fantasy and run it down and spam your ult every 20 seconds and just have a fun time. And that's why people really like Rivals at the end of the day, right? I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I agree that they should do something about the gameplay loop. I definitely agree that they should make it more neutral, because the player base is growing. The player base is getting better at the game, hopefully, and people are getting bored because this is too simple now, right? So, but I think straying away too much from that and like going the Overwatch route and making it more streamlined and more sanitized is also the wrong way, because many people play Rivals purely because it's so piss easy to play. It is genuinely super easy. Like the
Whoa, hey, you're
I don't
rage betting some
I
commenters.
bro, I don't care. If you have any self-awareness, I'm right. The game is genuinely easy, and that's why it's so
Can I be
fun,
honest with
because it's
you?
casual. Yeah.
You want to know why it's really easy? Like, obviously you're right, the balance thing, but like, can we just throw that away for like half a second? Like,
Yes.
unlogical thoughts.
Yes.
It's a newer game, and it's way easier to get into a newer game than an older
That's true.
game, right?
That's true.
So like, if I try to get into League of Legends today, I would literally get clapped by bronze players for like 2 months, right? Because like those fuckers have been playing in bronze for like 6 years, and like the bronze player today is a million times better than a bronze player 10 years ago when the game came out. And it's like the skill floor to get into a game like Overwatch is so hard because like there's just basic knowledge, right? Like what the fuck? Like if you're walking up to a fight, right, and you're playing Winston, you're playing the monkey guy because you think he's funny, and you're like, "Ooh, this guy's cool," and then your Ana behind you says nothing, and they just they hit the ultimate ready button, right? We all know what that means, right? Like they're trying to nano you in, unless you have like a Genji on your team or something. Like that's like the signal without no comms, and then you walk up and you like jump to somewhere else, and they nano you, and you're like, "What? Why did they nano me? What do I do? Why was this?" And then they get mad at you because they're like, "I told you," and they're like, "No, you didn't." Like, and it's like, no, that's the international sign in Overwatch. So like, those small things are so like new, like so fleshed out now. You'll never catch up. So if you're a new hero shooter player, Rivals is your answer. Like that's your only in. You'll like almost never get into Overwatch unless you want to put 2,000 hours in. It's like, what's the point at that point? Like, are you trying to be a pro player? You want to make half a loaf of bread a month? That's ambitious, but you know what I mean?
Wait, one loaf.
They're
One
They're
loaf.
up to a whole loaf?
A whole loaf. A whole loaf.
Wow, Overwatch
Impressive.
really is back.
I've
Holy
seen
shit.
it.
I
I've
missed
seen
I
it.
missed
It's
a lot.
crazy.
I missed a lot. They got a whole other half.
Pause. But can we actually compare that small niche nano boost situation to just how piss easy picking Rocket Raccoon is, sitting in the back of the map like a Boy Scout camped out with the campfire, everything, not playing the game at all? And my rebuttal to this is this, and I agree with
Didn't that
you
used
guys.
to be Mercy though? Kinda? Like back
No,
in the day?
Rocket-
Oh no, that's
way
over
worse.
for you, Flash,
Ro-
bro. The
Rocket
army's
is
coming.
way worse.
That's over.
Rocket Raccoon is
Like, the way
most
people view it, I mean.
character I've ever seen in a video game in my entire life. Ever. Not even close. But here's my question to you guys. Does we say that it's about the hero fantasy, right? But I think that if the sustain is that strong, what about the hero fantasy for characters like Scarlet Witch, who's just like perma bad? Like there's not
Good.
not a consistent answer. Say good.
Bro, I don't. That character should never be playable.
Yeah,
Like
bro, at the end of the
genuinely.
day, you're still picking and choosing, right? Like, why does opening up the neutral take away from people's ability? My argument would be it gives the ability for more heroes that aren't the meta for that season to actually live their hero fantasy because there's actual meaningful downtime. Like, you aren't destroying the skill floor of the game by or raising it to a point where people can't get into the game by making downtime. If there's actual downtime, I think it'd be easier for more people and more heroes to actually make plays. So I think you guys are right, but I actually disagree with the outcome. I think it would help Rivals a ton. It would help the ceiling of the game, and I don't think it would move the floor, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, I don't feel like the hero fantasy is there for everyone.
So let's try and just streamline the discussion so we can be very discreet. So
Sure.
to summarize, Sam started off talking about just like the general game feel, right? And like the game feel of Rivals, you're like, there's no neutral, right? That was what I identified as a sort of major complaint. Flats kind of brought in the idea that like, well, maybe part of this is by design, which is that we want an easier game in Rivals, but also part of it comes down to experience, because maybe 5 years from now, Marvel Rivals will be a lot more sophisticated. So let's try and identify, like, what do we think there's a world where Marvel Rivals can be like more of a streamlined game loop, where there is more of a neutral, where there is perhaps, as Samito saying, like these heroes that aren't just completely brainless, and it still captures that casual audience? I'll take it to Bogur first. Like, do you think there's a world there where they can make that, like, thread that needle, or do you think actually some of the brain AFK is integral to what makes Marvel Rivals successful?
I think the brain AFK part is, I think it was, and probably still is, integral to the game's success, because a lot of people just genuinely just play it super casually. But I think as the player base grows and as the base keeps investing more and more time and learning the nuances of the game and maybe learn how to hold high ground and stand behind the wall and all those other things, as the player base evolves, I believe in that actually making more of a neutral and making the game a little bit harder and not a slop fest would be beneficial. I agree with Samito to some extent there, because the players will get bored eventually from holding right click on the rocket. I don't think any sane human can spend 5 years holding right click on the rocket from like super far away. So I think actually adding some more nuances, adding a little bit more difficult to the game, adding a little bit more punishment so you can actually show off the fact that you're better at the game and you're good at the game would benefit people because it's going to keep the game a little bit more refreshing. And I think any game free to play model that releases content as often as Rivals does, usually does a big overhaul of the systems, or to some extent, like not change the game completely, but change some aspects of the game just to keep it fresh, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Rivals down the line, maybe this year, maybe next year, they actually kind of like decide, hey, too much healing, too much ult charge, everything farms too fast, add more of a neutral. And I think people would be satisfied from that because it would feel fresh. It would feel like, hey, I actually have to learn the game. There's more things to learn. Because for me, at least, when playing competitive game, I really like learning the game. I really like learning the basics. I like learning how I can play better, how I can outplay the enemies. Right now, as we said before, a lot of it boils down to I'm gonna farm my ult first. If I get my ult first, we win the game. Like we just win the fight. That's it, right? So I don't like that gameplay loop too much, and I think people are also getting pissed off about that gameplay loop, and people to some extent want to change there, like at least a little bit, like change something, increase ultimate charge cost. I remember Overwatch back in the day. Also, I feel like was a complete stop fest, and that's why people enjoyed it. But over time, they kept reducing ultimate charges. They kept reducing how much you farm modes. They kept making more neutral, la 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 la. And I think Rivals probably headed the same way, right? But I still believe the game should remain casual. I don't think they should go the Overwatch route. Like it's never like if they go the Overwatch route, I don't see why anyone would play Rivals over Overwatch. You know what I mean?
That's a very interesting statement. I'm gonna take it to Flats on that note of, do you think that Rivals and Overwatch, because again, to summarize, you guys are saying here's Rivals, which is like casual, easy access, and easy dopamine hits. Overwatch punishing. You gave the League of Legends example. Overwatch punishing. Be prepared if you're new. You're gonna spend 6 months getting your ass slapped, and not in the fun way. But eventually it pays off, and it's like got the competitive integrity, right? Do you think they're gonna remain these discrete entities, or do you think that Rivals can and will start to like step into that space of like, okay, it's been long enough, we're gonna be a competitive game now?
That's a hard one. Because I think Rivals is on a timer. I think every game is on a timer where when it releases, everyone has fun and it's amazing because nobody knows what they're doing, right? The way I look at this is like I gave the example about the Nano Boost Winston earlier, but let me give you an example in Rivals. When Rivals came out, nobody, I'm talking about launch, not like beta players kind of had an idea, but like for example, Mag, right? Mag was thought of as a good tank, but they hadn't understood how to use his ult yet. By the end of season 1, it was common knowledge to always ult the Cloak and Dagger ult with your Mag and you will kill her. That was not common knowledge for the first month and a half of the game. It was common knowledge among high level players within like the first week or two, but then the content creators like kind of understood, but like we weren't like making TikTok guys. You gotta wait till like the TikTokers get it, right? That's always like a little while. Like those are like the celestial players, with I guess GM at the time. They're always like a little bit behind, right? Because like if you're like a streamer or like a pro player or like really high level player, we were all putting out like either guides for the hero early on, or you were putting out gameplay, or you're just trying to get rank 1, right? Like we weren't really interested in like, here's a niche tip for Magneto and then make a TikTok of it, right? You gotta wait for the TikTokers, and those guys are just not as good, unfortunately. So like every game does this, where they get to a point where they become competitive, whether they like it or not. I think Rivals is resisting it with every fiber of their being. They are trying their best to resist it. And I'm not saying they're not competitive, period, but like on a scale of, say, League or CS being maybe, or actually I don't even know if CS is a great example, but like maybe it is like the highest level of like, this is extremely competitive. Like we take this shit seriously. And Rivals is the low end where it's like, this is a competitive game, but it's a lot more friendly for you to get into. I think they want to stay on that lower end because most of Rivals players are, for all intents and purposes, kind of tourists, where they're going to pop in, play for a little bit, and then leave. Their player base is what I would call like the nomad player base, where they are probably right now went and tried Marathon, and they liked it or didn't like it. I would argue most of them probably went and played Arc Raiders. Actually, I would argue that when Arc Raiders went off, when Arc Raiders came out around the time Overwatch, or sorry, not Overwatch, Rivals had actually took a big dip in its player base. So like a lot of players that are just like, they travel along whatever's the most popular game at the moment was Rivals player base, and they came back for Deadpool, and they'll probably come back for future heroes as well. And they kind of look like they're cooking with like this upcoming Avengers event. I'm sure like at some point like Thanos might get added. That'll probably be a massive season. And part of me wants to express almost in my own way, not like to you guys here, like not to anyone else. It's definitely gonna get taken that way. It's like, oh, you're just trying to stay in NetEase. Shut the fuck up. I have learned how good we have it with Rivals. Like, they genuinely give a fuck. They understand that they're in a fight. Like, they don't take it as like, oh, we're just here to do our own thing. SVD, you probably remember. Sam, you might remember. I don't know, Bogur, if maybe you do too. I had an interview like 2 years ago on stream. It was from someone on the Overwatch team, in which I asked them, like, who do you guys view as your biggest competition? And they're like, nah, we don't have competition. And I was like, come on now, let's be for real here. Like you have competition. Like, you have to understand. Rivals from day one understood that they were in a fight with Overwatch and every other game. And I appreciate that. And they kind of take care of a lot of their creators. And don't saying Overwatch doesn't, but Overwatch in a lot of ways is like you operate on like friends type of stuff. Rivals understands it's a business. Like, you're showing up, you're doing work for them. They pay you for it. Overwatch doesn't really do that. Unfortunately, I hate to say it to all my fellow Overwatch creators, but they kind of like low key kind of take advantage of the friend aspect, where like they make friends with you, and like I'm not saying that they're not actually friends with you. Like, they're nice people, they genuinely are. But like at the end of the day, it's a business, and Rivals has always understood that. I've always appreciated that they understood that in both ways. But also like that feedback system. I'm not even a Rivals partner. I'm not in their Discord. I'm not in any of their shit. I've chosen to not be a part of it because I wanted to be a step back. And let them kind of do their own thing, because I felt like in Overwatch I had a lot of sway a lot of times, because I would ask questions publicly, privately, whatever it was. And the only times I've ever had to really say anything were like the Chrono Shields and the Rivals throwing thing recently. And like I try to like take a little bit more of a step back than I used to, but like balance, for example, I always yap about that and do whatnot. And I've always appreciated the way Rivals kind of handles that. And I really kind of feel for them, because I don't know what their right decision is. Because you guys are all saying go more competitive. I think most people would resist that. I think the average Rivals player would resist that like crazy. I think that if you look at nighttime queues, it's always obviously the same group of 12 people just queuing all night long. Overwatch was the same way, but it wasn't 12. It was more like 100. I think the player base, especially at the highest level, is a lot less than you guys even think it is. Like, I when I was playing like low Celestial, I'd see different people every game. Once you get to that Eternity, it's legitimately the same 20 people all day long.
You don't have to
That's
tell me
it.
that.
Nothing else.
I agree with you.
You know that. Of course, you know that.
I know.
And
especially in the EU, there's like 2 people. Like, we're besties.
yeah, and they don't like. I'm so real with you for half a second. They did a great job with their esport. Like, they fucking dumped money into that, but it just wasn't great to watch because it's so hard. The bit rate of the stream literally can't keep up with how much shit's going on the screen. So everything is pixelated, and there's so many ultimates going off, which again, we could talk about how, like maybe there's too many ults, but like pro play, they'll build them bitches in 20 seconds. The average player maybe gets one around. Right. And so like, if you look at like Overwatch gameplay a couple of years, like a year ago, when they changed a lot of ult charge stuff, is like, I forget, it was like, what season was it? Not season 9, the last refresh that they did. Like, you sometimes weren't building like on certain characters like Junker Queen. You could go a whole round without building an ult if it's like control, and that probably still happens for them. And so I think for a more casual player base, they're not gonna have as much fun if they go a whole round without building an ultimate. But at the same time, though, right? Like, it's like it's not competitive fundamentally. So you'd have to change the whole game. Do they really want to change the whole game for the chance that people might enjoy a more casual or competitive version? I don't think they do. I don't think that's the right call. But also, they're on a timer. So at some point they're going to run out of gas. So it's like adapt or be left behind. But things are good right now, quote unquote, right? Like, another season comes out, another hero comes out, things are going to be great for a little bit, then it'll die back down. Do you just ride that as long as you can? I don't know.
I mean, lots of great discussion points. I know both Bogur and Sam want to chime in. I think Sam has been waiting a little bit longer, so I'm going to go to Sam first.
Waiting so long. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. First, I think you're right on everything that you said, except I agree with one notion, and this gets thrown out by everybody. And I disagree because I think we've boxed ourselves in here. I think you guys are right that Rivals is a more casual game, but when did we decide that creating more neutral in the game is only beneficial to a competitive audience, right? I think there are plenty of casual players. A lot of my buddies from real life like try to get on the game and they played it for a bit, but they also noticed the lack of ability to play make because of how much sustain there is out there. I don't think it's fair to say that if they were to nerf, let's say ult duration, not ult build rate, but if ult duration got nerfed across the board as well, there's more, like, you actually have a reasonable chance to wait out an ult with your ult and then make a play, even if it's coming up faster, right? I would like to see them both nerf, but let's say that only one of those happens. I disagree with the premise that, and people on Twitter talk to me, like, and I've debated people extensively on Twitter. I know that it's crazy to do that. I know it's crazy, but you never know. You might find a needle in a haystack, guys, right? You shouldn't give up searching.
Have you ever found that needle? I'm just curious.
Have you found the needle? Yeah. Have you found
Some say he's still looking.
What?
90% of Twitter users quit arguing just before they find the needle.
Yeah, that's true. Listen, it's like finding the One Piece. You can't quit, all right? It's out there, all right? And it literally is now. Apparently, they put something out there in the ocean, but we don't need to talk about that right now. But I disagree with the notion that only benefits competitive players, because the way it would hurt casual players is if the skill floor and the ability to enter the game becomes higher than what it is before. But I don't think that's what would happen. I think you could still pick up Cloak and Dagger and still go through the same motions. I think you could still pick up Rocket Raccoon. And you guys are right. Rivals is definitely a much more casual game to me. Like, they're both fruit, but one's an apple and one's an orange. And it's hard you can't 100% compare apples and oranges, but I disagree with the idea that nerfing ultimates somehow only makes the game better from a competitive standpoint when that stuffing of playmaking is happening to pretty much all players, unless, like, they're dying to a Witch ult right in the open, but, they only see Witch down in low ranks, right? So that's the premise that I disagree with. I feel like we don't need to argue that right now, but I'm worried that we've boxed ourselves into something where we've all said this for years, like, this is a competitive, like, catered update, but I don't know if they're actually mutually exclusive. And I'm happy to talk about that if you guys disagree. But I would say that I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. I think, Flats, you're right on your point, but I don't think that this would go against that grain. I think it actually might fit into the grain better than we might think.
Okay, well, I'll just make a note of that point as well about, like, there's a sweet spot somewhere, because I remember these discussions in Overwatch too. But I want to take it to Bogur first. Bogur, whether you want to chime in on just what Sam just said or what Flat said before, go ahead, either.
I think I was going to say that, to add to my point, I don't disagree that the game should remain casual, because I think that is the main audience. I think they are genuinely tourists. Like, I think the main audience are absolute tourists. And I agree with Flats, and I never disagreed in the sense that I never want the game to become Overwatch. I never want the game to become Giga competitive. I think they don't care about top 500. And I think that's super valid, because why would you care about one above all players, right? I think Rivals in itself is in a really interesting position where there's still a lot of nuances and playmaking in a macro play, like scale in the game, where you can still outmaneuver and outcounter a bunch of annoying, compositions and abilities. And you see that in One Above All and Pro Play as well. There's a lot of little tricks you can do, but that is not something you can do by yourself. It is always something you can do with your team, right? Like comboing Phoenix Mag, comboing, Groot Namor, comboing Cloak and Dagger Terror. People have been doing that. That's why the character is getting banned right now. With any DPS ult to insta-kill to support ult. That is a really cool aspect of the game. I think the team play of the game is amazing. And I think, if anything, I feel like Overwatch doesn't have that much team play as Rivals. I feel like Rivals, the most fun aspect is the fact that you can play with your team. I think it's so amazing whenever I hit a Mag Phoenix ult. I think it's so cool hitting even a Groot Namor. Cloak and dagger damage boosting with her Terror Cape or any combo. It's amazing. In Overwatch, you're just running around and shooting, and you have a lot of neutral, and that's kind of hype because you do things by yourself. But it feels more of a, how do I say it? I feel like Rivals should remain casual, but you hit a point where the player base gets bored from doing the same thing over and over again. Even the tourists, like 2 years in, 3 years in, they're gonna know everything, right? Like it's just gonna be annoying to do the same thing over and over again. And I agree the game again should be completely casual and should be super easily available. I think characters like Rocket Raccoon and Cloak and Dagger should remain as easy as they are, right? I believe that all of the easy characters should be easy because it allows people to play the game, provide value, and have fun, and you don't have to be giga tryhard. But again, all of these people, at some point when they come back in the future, whenever they play the game again and see that the gameplay loop is the exact same thing, and the same things are happening, and Luna ult is still 10 seconds, and you're still fighting triple support, and there's ult spam everywhere, I think people are just going to get bored of it. And I think people are already getting bored of it. I think people are getting super exhausted of fighting the same support ults, fighting sitting. Like, I think it's super exhausting when you level up your gameplay, but it doesn't really matter because there's this immortal ultimate on point and you just need to sit AFK. And I think that's just boring. And I think people have reached a point where they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm tired. Like, even I'm sure even the Rocket players are bored of it. I think like I just truly believe that I mean, how many Rocket one tricks have you seen? Even no damage Rocket, that guy, he has Lord on like Loki and stuff. Like, he doesn't even play Rocket anymore. Everybody's fucking bored of playing Rocket, bro. But like, my final point here is, as the game evolves and as the game grows, people are gonna grow and people are gonna know like more and more about the game. And I think the game needs to evolve with that. Like, you don't need to make it giga competitive. You don't need to cater to top 500, but you need to change something. Be it ultimate durations, ultimate charge. I don't care. Add more neutral, reduce healing, triple support. When you pick triple support, there's a reduce healing overboard. I don't care. Just do something so the game has a different loop, like a little bit different loop. So it's not the same thing of me just sitting 6 people grouped up like it's the Spartans in a turtle formation, just farming our Cloak and Dagger road. And then God forbid somebody takes an angle. If the enemy Hela takes an angle, it's GG, because your Hela is not taking the angle, because she doesn't understand that concept. Like, that's beyond them. So if the enemy Hela has some aim, takes the angle and hits 2 headshots, you die, right? And what are you gonna do? But like, I'm just so tired of the same gameplay loop. 6 people holding hands, farming support. I have Cloak and Dagger. I'm ulting. I'm going in. Okay, we're sitting there and staring at each other for 12 seconds, right? Because they have Cloak and Dagger as well. And I think everybody's tired too.
Okay, I'll quickly take it to Sam, and then I want to shift the discussion. But Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like, the Rivals designs themselves have so much potential as well that is just being bottlenecked by that win con of the game where it's overarching. Like, so many of these heroes are so cool and have so much to them, but they are very limited in what they can actually express right now. Like, I felt like, for just a quick example that I'll give is, like, take Iron Fist, for example, right? And I loved playing Iron Fist. Honestly, post his rework, though, it kind of turned me off the character because it was just punching tanks all game. And I liked going after squishies. I liked that hybrid playstyle that I used to be able to have. But say a support ults on point SVB, like, if I was playing Overwatch, I could back off that ult for like 6 seconds, and if I save my ult, they wouldn't have enough time to get all of their cooldowns back before I went back in with my ult, and there would be like a 3-second window for me to make a play, regardless of what character I'm on. But that doesn't exist in Rivals. Like, it's all about like the right team up to kill through those ults, and if they nerf them by just a little bit, those team ups and combos are still really good, but you get a little bit more individual playmaking in that loop, and it completely blows it wide open. So that's what I would love to see. But I really do feel what Bogur's saying there, and I hope, because the characters are so cool. I want to play more of them, but I just
agree.
can't. I can't sit there.
The characters are cool. I agree.
Okay, well, that's good. We got like a rough consensus there, but we've spent a lot of time talking about Rivals. I want to bring it to the Overwatch lens now as well. And Flats, I'm going to ask you about this one, which is that you've recently started playing Overwatch again yourself. And what do you think Overwatch is learning from watching Rivals do this? Because for so long we've been talking about how Rivals learned from Overwatch's mistakes, right? Like, Rivals saw, oh yeah, Overwatch did that, the other, and they know not to do that. But now watching this, like this potential stale gameplay loop, do you think a lot of what Overwatch is doing right now is with like, okay, let's not make that mistake again?
I think so. I think obviously the big ones are just like trying to lean back into their lore and give every season like a, what matters. I mean, you can see like they're trying to listen. Like that's probably the biggest thing. It's not the same as like old listening. Their old listening was like, we hear you. We're not doing shit about it though. Like that was like kind of the old way.
That's my favorite.
Now
Yeah.
now it's kind of like, we hear you. We might do something
We
about
might
it.
do
And like they
something.
have. Yeah, and they do. Like, for example, they dropped the 2. And they dropped it a good time. They waited for a big update. They waited till they had a bunch of stuff fixed. And they gave a lot of people like I'm gonna give this a shot moment. And that, I think, actually, not to be Steam charts Andy, I think it's actually a very good sign looking at the Steam chart for Overwatch, because I think most newer players are probably on Steam. Because if you think about it, I think most of the older players like myself are going to play on Battle.net, because that's what you've always played on for years. If you never played a whole lot of Overwatch before, what are you going to play on as a PC player? Steam, because Steam is the best platform and it's not even fucking close. So it's like, if I'm picking up any game, I always check to see if it's on Steam first. And if it's not on Steam, then I have to go figure something else out. So seeing that there's so many people playing on Steam probably means that's a lot of like either hasn't played in a very long time players or newer players that are playing on it as well. So like that's a good sign that like there's people that have come back and are enjoying it, and then it's had staying power, which is a good sign. Now, I think that a lot of that has to do with there's a lot of unique new things to play. I think that the format itself gives you a lot. There's a bunch of things to play. You can play Stadium, you can play 6v6 Open Queue, and you can play 5v5. Like, I think like a lot of like older players that came back probably are playing a little bit more of the 6v6. And I think that like when you get to the higher ranks, the queue times are really long. But I bet, if I was to take a guess, I bet the like bronze through gold, like older player base that just, likes to play the old Ryan Zarias, I bet those queues are pretty damn quick most of the day. And then you have like the more competitive aspect, the more competitive players, like the new gen players that like 5v5 more, that are just queuing all day long. And I think they've changed the gameplay loop a little bit with the new global passive, which opens up a lot more opportunities for like DPS to actually for everyone to have plays. Like, it's the same for like shooting a tank. So if you don't know about this SVB, I'm not sure. But they implemented a new the DPS passive used to be like, if you
It's
shoot
on
somebody,
everyone.
take
Yeah,
less
I've
healing.
been playing.
It's
I've been
on
playing the
everyone.
last couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the fact that it's like 30% on everyone not being a tank is kind of huge, because like you can put so much pressure just by shooting a squishy like twice, and it takes like double the amount of time for a support to heal them than it used to be. And so like you can get more kills, and it like actually opens up the fight more, and it has more impact, more individual impact, which is nice. Obviously you still have the 5v5 downs aspects. I'm not trying to rile up Sam. But like
We'll get there.
regardless though, I think that there's a little bit of something for everybody. Like throughout the years of playing Overwatch, whether you want something brand new, you have Stadium. If you want something that's newer, that's still like somewhat fresh, you have the normal base game mode. And if you want the old stuff, that exists as well. The question is though, what is Overwatch going to make any implementations of its own that jump forward? Because like one of my critiques or one of my complaints of Spotlight was every year Overwatch comes out with something new, or not every year, but everyone, like whenever Overwatch comes out with like a big thing, like a big update, there's something new, something that they've come up with. Whether it's they took an old idea and put a Blizzard spin on it, which admittedly kind of sucks sometimes, or like something in general they just like come up with new. There was nothing. There was nothing brand new. That wasn't like, oh, we took this system from someone else and implemented, or like, oh, we just implemented this old system that used to exist. And it's like, without having a person to follow, or maybe someone to look over and copy a little bit with Rivals, are they just gonna wait till Rivals comes up with something new and then implement it in their own way and make it better, or are they going to be able to implement their own things in the future that are like unique and interesting? What those things are, couldn't tell you. But I think that it's interesting that throughout the years of Overwatch's existence, it's been its best when it has a competitor. Like weirdly enough, like 2016, 2018, like you had obviously to a TF2 rolling into it, and then like a little bit of Paladins. Like they actually took some of those aspects from those games over the years, and then those two obviously just kind of died, and it kind of fell off for a long time. And now you have Rivals, and it's like back again good. It's like, wait a minute, why? They're always at their best when they have someone else to look at. So I hope that Rivals kind of like keeps implementing new things because then Overwatch will get new things. But I'm not honestly sure. It's interesting because they're doing a good job of listening to their player base currently. But I do think they're still scared. I think they're too scared to like do big swings unless they've seen it work somewhere else first.
Would you consider Perks a big swing? I'd say Perks is probably the biggest one that I personally. I'm not trying to get quick on to clip this and get on Twitter. You know what I'm talking about, the Twitter Andes. But oh, there he goes. There he
Yep.
goes. But would you not say Perks were a big swing?
Were Perks a big swing? I think they were a pretty big swing. I mean, Stadium, even you can example, is a big swing, right? And it probably is actually a pretty decent swing. However, though, for Perks, I can't speak on, but Stadium they've been working on since like 2021. So they just had that in development for a very long time. Do they have anything like that for the future? I have no idea. But like, yeah, you got a good point. Perks is definitely a bit of a bigger swing. Although the longer they've been around, I feel like the less they really matter because there's always a correct answer on what to pick. There's very few times where it's not like, oh, this niche matchup, I'll do this perk or I'll do this perk, right? It's like every time you load in, you just pick these two perks. So it's like it's just an advanced version of balancing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can actually chime in on this one, which is that like I thought Perks would be a bigger swing than they were. Like going in, revisiting it, I was like, okay, Perks are in the game. This is gonna be cool. But most of the time when I'm playing, any hero, it's just like, here's a 10% increase, which is, again, it's like, it's so marginal that like, who's noticing it? Or it's like, some like, there's also a lot of like alt niche ones, which are like, either this makes the alt really strong, or it's like, why am I taking this to be effective once every 2 minutes? Like, wow, my, like, like this is like, when I'm Winston ulting, I can like jump pack people. And it's like, okay, yeah, but if I suck and I never build a Primal Rage, then like, what is this even worth? So it's like, they feel great in conception, but not necessarily in practice. And also I think that there's just like a little bit of jank to them, which is that there's no way to really know what other people are doing with their perks without like stopping to like read the scoreboard and be like, okay, he took that icon, so like now the Doomfist is gonna absorb the Ana sleep dart for the first second, so like I need to know. It feels a bit, I don't think they're finished with perks. I do think it was a good, to your original question, it was a big swing in theory. I don't think it actually has a big swing impact on the game. Like when I come back as a player, I'm not like, wow, perks have really perked me up. Sorry about that. I don't really feel like a big shift. I wanna give Bogur a chance to say something, and then I'm gonna ask Sam a question because I know we've gone from rage baiting comments to rage baiting our fellow podcasters. So I'll tee Sam up in a second. But I want to take it to Bogur first, which is just that like, we've talked a lot about Rivals and like what they need to potentially do. Where does Overwatch go now? Like, what is Overwatch's, in your mind, what is the right path?
For Overwatch, my experience with Overwatch has always been they take a good step forward and then they take like 5 steps backwards. So I'm afraid they're going to do the same thing again, right? So I think Overwatch has been doing really well. I think the way I see it, they've added a lot of systems, they've added stadium perks, whatever, but it never was a big shakeup. But now that they actually came out with this new big patch and changed up the game quite a bit and released 5 new heroes, I feel like now going into the game after the year or two where they added a bunch of mechanics and a bunch of changes and a bunch of modes, I think it really made the game feel fresh, because I didn't come back really for perks, right? I didn't come back and grind because, as you said, it didn't really feel that crazy. You just have one perk that is like you do 2 more damage, and the other perk is like you sent off a nuclear bomb on the enemy team, and like I'm gonna pick the nuclear bomb, right? Like it's pretty obvious which one I'm gonna go. But all these system stadium perks, passives, whatever rows, they added a bunch of sub rows, all of it together for this new season, dropping the 2, adding the new heroes. I think it's just the game feels really fresh and feels really fun, because I feel like they've been building up to this in a way, maybe thinking too much into it. But for the future, the question really stands: are they gonna fix the things people are still complaining about? Like, because one of my biggest gripes playing the game, I got to GM super easily back in Overwatch. Like I went on a 20-game winning streak. I got to GM, same fucking meta as before. Same things played as before. It's this Diva, OP, Zarya OP, Sojourn OP, Lucio, Kiriko is the same fucking shit over and over again. So I'm kind of tired of seeing the same characters being played. I'm kind of tired from, we talked about the ban system. I don't know if you guys know how the ban system looks in pro play. I feel like Overwatch has genuinely, there's a lot of potential with the pro scene. There finally we have some players that people talk about, know about. People, like they're fans of these players. Like we haven't had that since Overwatch League. They're fans. Like there's genuine fans of the game, of these players, and they follow them. But the pro scene just sucks. Like in the sense that, do you know how bans work in the pro scene? They have one ban per team, and they can't repeat the bans next game. Like it is insanity because the game has like 50 characters, and you can, like, for example, ban Tracer this game. They're gonna ban Zarya. Next game you can't ban Zarya or Tracer, and it's like, why, right?
Yeah.
And compared to Rivals, where you can ban 4 characters you can ban 4 characters, 4 for the enemy, and the enemy can ban 4, and then there's super attacks. I feel like if they invest a bit more in the pro scene, make it a little bit more fun to watch, I think there's a lot of potential. I think they should keep up releasing new characters. They said there's gonna be like 10 total, 5 more this year, I don't remember, right? And if they address some of the balancing and finally, deal with these characters that have been like genuinely infesting rank that I've been seeing nonstop for 2 years, I think that would be good, right? But I think they're on the right track. I really hope they do keep listening to community to some extent, and they keep implementing things people want.
Okay, Sam, is something you want to respond right now on this?
Yeah,
'Cause I've got
just
other
to give
things.
an alley-oop. Listen, Blizzard. Bogur used the word invest. It doesn't have to be money. You can just add more bands. We know it's only
Bro,
a loaf of bread, but like
I
it's actually easy. It doesn't have to be money. Give
I
them some
watched this.
options.
I watched the scrims they did in Korea, and I was like, bro, they're just playing the same comp every game.
Yeah.
Like it's so boring, right? And I had to talk with Chad, and I had to talk with some other people, and they explained to me how the bans work. I was like, are you serious? One
There's no-
ban
Yeah.
per team. There's more characters in Overwatch right now than in Rivals. Like because of the 5 new characters they added, and Rivals has way more bans in pro play, and it's genuinely insane to me.
Yeah, that's an easy upgrade, I think.
Easy.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, time to Flats. You got anything else you want to add, or can I move the discussion?
It's funny. I actually talked about that too when I was watching stuff, and Avril popped in my chat and was like, basically like against it. Was like, no, because I was like, you guys should look at the Rivals version because it basically forces non-mirror matchups. And it was like, well, Overwatch is a more purist game. It's like, well, you don't want to lose the match just on the ban screen. I'm like, well, I mean, I think there's a skill there too. Like, you ban out certain characters on each map. It's like it's gonna make it more enjoyable. And like realistically, the way I look at all of this is the same way I look at content. The most important experience is the viewer. Like, does the viewer enjoy it? Because without them, you have nothing. Like, they're not like you can be the most amazing Tracer player in the world. If nobody want to watch, then you don't have a career. You have nothing. Like you're just good at Tracer and you can play on the ladder or do whatever. But like without like people watching the scene and like supporting the scene, showing up every day, like that's it. Like without it, like it might not ever exist. So like you should try to make it so that it's enjoyable for them. And then also like you're a pro player. Come on, you can overcome the challenge of maybe you're at a slight disadvantage for a map because you're on bans, or you know what, you get good at bans and now you have an advantage. And it's like you could be a better team just because you're really fucking good at your ban phases. Like there's another depth element to the game that could be added. But like I guess the argument back was like you ruin a lot of like the potential of like you could just lose the match because you can't swap Widow and they have a Widow and you just can't win
Just
the
be more
1v1. It's
flexible.
like just GG. Yeah, well, I mean like it's like not even like let's say there's a map where it's like Widow's just so dominant right now. Without a Widow, you just lose the game.
Just
like,
that
you get the
insta ban
spawn room.
Widow. Insta ban
Exactly.
Widow.
That's how I
Like,
looked at
there's-
it too.
I
but
do
it's
that
like,
every game.
Yeah.
yeah, but
I think-
that's the argument back, and I don't know. I didn't really totally like that, but it is what it is.
I just think it's cool. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, and
their in-game ban system is good enough. Like I love that system. Sorry, you go ahead, SVB.
No, I was just gonna say, obviously, I don't want to be unfair to someone like Avril because to argue against an argument with someone not being there to give their point is potentially unfair. But I will say that I think in general, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier about like how eventually now Overwatch does have bans when. First of all, that was a thing we resisted for a long time. I think people gravitate towards what they would lose rather than what they would gain from a system, right? You could call that loss aversion. But people are more fixated on like, well, but if we do this, then there'll be some game where you lose in the draft phase. Okay, 1 in 10 games lost in the draft phase. But in return, you eliminate, for example, the same comps being played every time, and how much of a much more exponential win is that compared to, okay, well, 1 out of 10 games, yeah, okay, that sucked. Everybody was unhappy that this team lost, but even then you can put that down to like, well, the coach should be better. Like, that was bad coaching, that the guy who's selecting the bans fucked up.
Spylo.
Yeah,
Spylo, what are you doing? The thing to add to it, I think it's really cool to watch people play their niche heroes in Overwatch, because I think Overwatch has a lot of really cool characters now. And I think by having one ban only, you just don't allow people to shine and play their little characters and pop off and do their thing, because there's such a disparity between the value you can get on certain characters compared to like the most meta characters. And I've been watching recently some videos about old League of Legends esports, at least in the beginning. The amount of hype people experience, like the audience would go crazy when the bans would allow for this pro to play his favorite hero, because that's his thing. And nobody goes crazy seeing Tracer again. Nobody goes crazy because they see Diva again. Nobody goes crazy because they see Lucio Kiriko again. People would go crazy if somebody, whipped out Bastion or whipped out, like, I don't know what's niche or not, like Lifeweaver, like people are like, oh my god, Rocket Attack goes on Lifeweaver because they banned 6 supports. Bro, that's hype. And I agree with Flats on the sense that it's cool to have the game be purist and stuff, but that's only cool maybe for the top echelon of the game. I think Overwatch should definitely invest to make the game more enjoyable from a casual perspective, because that's what matters. You do need to have people watch your game. You do need people to enjoy watching your game, because honestly, with these Korean scrims, I had fun the first match. Then the second match, I was already bored because it was the same thing I've been watching for 2 years now. And I'm like, brother, we just had 5 new heroes, and I'm losing it.
Can I make them mad really quick? Because someone's going to say it, and I might as well get ahead of the game. Because you know what's going to happen, right? And someone's going to respond that, like, well, they don't need your shitty ass streamer advice, you dumb fucks. They got 100,000 viewers last time they streamed. Yeah, because it's inflated by drops, you dumb bastards. Like, it's all drops. Like, so, dude, remember when that was the last cycle of, like, Overwatch was 200,000 viewers, Rivals was 200,000 viewers. Like, oh my god, everyone's winning. Realistically, it was hashtag ad for Rivals. And Overwatch is drops. It's not fucking real. It's literally all smoke and mirrors. Like, people are there to either they're following their communities, and big streamers are showing up and playing the game for Rivals that don't normally play it. Like Tim and Peanut were playing. Or you have an Overwatch where you have 30,000 people that are AFKing for their skins and loot boxes. They're all people that play the game. But it's not real fucking viewership numbers. Like, they're people, but they're not really there. Like, they're just showing up for their free stuff. And the reason why Rivals Esport has so many viewers is because it puts out, I think the last one was 14 skins and like a gifted sum event skin. So like it was like 15. You could get 14 skins just by watching for like a couple hours. So like, honestly, I'd love to see Rivals do that. Rivals should just lean in and just come out with like a pro series of skins and just fucking drop.
Wait, who did the skins? Who did the skins? Did you say Rivals did the skins or Overwatch?
No, Overwatch.
That's
Overwatch
crazy.
You would watch like
for the
one
finals,
skin
there was
an hour.
14 sets of skins. There were 14.
How many Mercy skins?
No, I think it was like home and away for like 7 different heroes, and then there was like a special like Roadhog skin.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Ew.
Yeah, like
cool
and then there was like
the rest is cool.
Oh, did I say Rivals the first time? I might have said Rivals the first
time.
No,
I just
did it.
Okay.
Yeah, Overwatch, they were just like throwing all of them out, and like I think some of them were even older ones as well. Sprays, name cards, like there was legitimately like 40 fucking rewards by the last day, because they did it over like the span of a week, and then like day 1 you only get 1 skin, day 2 you can get 2 skins, but you get 1 new one and the previous day, right? So like if you're watching the last few matches, like by the finals, you're getting new rewards and all the old rewards. So people just showed up for the finals, and there was tons of people watching, but like it's not real. So like. So before someone goes ahead of the game and goes, oh, they're doing fine without you, shut the fuck up. It's not real.
Yeah,
and the same thing is about Rivals, by the way. I'm saying the same exact thing about Rivals. When you see Rivals at 200,000 viewers at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of hashtag ad.
No,
there's some drops. It's not real. It's not real.
It's real.
You just ruined Santa for him, Vlad.
It's real.
Oh my god. Villain.
I do-
And honestly, if Rivals wanted to dominate the Twitch scene, they just put out the same skins Overwatch does, or like drops. I guarantee it. I bet you would see every season launches at like 200,000 viewers because people would be showing up for those farm skins every time. But the drops for Rivals just blow. So
No, you don't like purple
Anyways, that's Twitch
reskin of
numbers.
Invis, purple reskin of Human Torch.
the purple skin for Invis was the
that.
second best one they've ever done. Is that scary? That's legitimately the second best drop they've ever done. I think everyone was at like 10K plus viewers for that. I'm not joking. Which is like,
Okay.
imagine if it was a good one.
Let's bring it back on track. I mean, to your point, I think there's something pretty pyramid schemey about all of that, and I don't want to be the guy who's to like everyone's gonna be like, oh, this guy's ruining the fun. But yeah, I'm a bit like generally.
Every game does it now. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. It feels really wrong. Like it feels like we're doing like a financial market crash, like inflating everybody's numbers. Because like at what point do advertisers realize like, yeah, nobody's fucking watching this shit, bro. I'm paying like twice the money for my ads.
You'd be very surprised. Actually, there is conversations about that. But like a lot of the biggest streamers, because like, we're getting into that later. That's
yeah, no, there's something like stupid. Like, it's a very short termism. Anyways, I'm not going to go into a larger philosophical point of like fake pumping your numbers to like make money. And then, anyways, let's go back on topics. I promised I would rage bait Sam, and I haven't yet. So
Okay,
I'm gonna bring it back that way. I was actually gonna say on the perks discussion to sort of set it up in a not just straight up hit him in the head with a bat. One interesting thing would have been more depth to perks. Would have been if it was in open queue format, perks would make more sense because you could have perks that lean a character more towards like one role or the other, right? So that's actually something, and here's my bingo card, that's actually something that's relevant in Dota, which is that like you have facets at the start of the game, and you get to pick between two, and usually the two facets are leaning towards one role or the other for a hero, right? Because in obviously Dota, there's no like strict role. Like a hero does not necessarily play into one role. Like they could be your carry, like your DPS, or they could also be like a tank, or they could be a support potentially. And the facet you pick would lean into like, okay, well, I want to play this game, I want to play support Reinhardt, so I'm going to pick the facet that actually allows me to like heal my teammates. So potentially open queue would have been an interesting way of doing that, like to make perks more relevant. Is like, okay, here's a brig perk that actually makes her more tanky, and here's one that makes her more supporty. To Sam now, I asked the question, which is that we've seen loads of different formats now, right? We've seen Rivals have its 6v6 open queue. We've seen Overwatch have 6v6 roll queue, open queue. Overwatch default has 5v5 roll queue. What have we actually learned? Like, in your opinion, and I'm going to obviously open this up later to Flats and Bogur as well. Like, what have we actually learned about the format discussion now that we've had so many different experimentations across both these games?
Well, what we've learned, and this is going to be a very unpopular take in a lot of people of the Overwatch community's mind, but one guy named Hawk is going to be kicking his feet and giggling right now because that man was right, and I think Frito was right as well. Everybody's always asked me like how Frito's great. I talked to him 2 weeks ago. He's great. He's chilling. I get so many people spam me and ask me like, "Where's Frito?" Like Frito's chilling. He's good. But open queue with bans is the format, and roll lock has been a total failure because what I've learned with roll lock, and I was one of the biggest roll lock advocates, and this is one of the biggest issues with like to everyone saying that 6v6 needs roll queue and roll lock specifically. You guys are coping so hard. Like please get in reality. The queue times would not work. They don't. Okay, they don't. It's the big reason that we went to 5v5 is that it's very, very hard to make them work. Could they do better than they did? Yes. Okay. But what we've seen with roll lock is that design in the game gets taken away from what's fair for each role to trying to design characters around maintaining queue times. And if you look at what's happened with the entirety of Overwatch 2's life, if you're playing 5v5, it is just gone in a circle of balancing for the roles until, like, in my opinion, I think DPS are now the biggest loser because when the game first came out and we were in the alpha, all the support players complained constantly because they were dying 10 times per 10 minutes. Even the Overwatch pros, like even the pro players were dying on cooldown. They were dead every second of the game. So what did Blizzard do? They had to buff the support so that people wanted to play the role. Okay. Then what happened because of that? Hey guys, y'all want to remind me how fun playing tank was for the first 8 seasons of Overwatch 2? How fun that was for you guys? words of encouragement.
That fucking killed me, dude. I actually almost like. I
Yeah,
almost
it
had to be
just
put in
wasn't fun.
in a hospital after some of those games, dude.
It wasn't fun for you guys. So what did they have to do to maintain those Q times, make it fun? They made tanks so strong that a DPS will never win against a tank. It's like if they gave Tracer the ability to hold space like a Reinhardt. Like the tanks, like playing it Super Diva is so boring because when she gets on my backline, there's nothing that I can do. So how they've had to design the roles is, or they're designing things in a way to maintain Q times rather than actually like what's healthy for the game. Because you cannot convince me, I don't care who says it, that having tanks be raid bosses is good for a game. It's just not. And I've been playing a lot of open queue in both Rivals and in 6v6. I would love to see a hybrid, and you guys would know better than me, but I'm pretty sure Rivals came out and said that they did some kind of preferred role queue in the back end of their matchmaker where they look for people.
Clearly doesn't work.
Yeah, apparently it doesn't work that well, but regardless, I think that you can have a hybrid between role lock and role queue where it's not, you're not forced into your role, but there's a way that you can actually navigate. And frankly, I'm just going to say this right now. I would rather have a game with triple DPS and even just one tank to where I can actually play make on the enemy team. If they ran to limit 2 tanks, though, I actually do like to limit 2 tanks. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that SVB, but I think that's actually kind of the right way to go for if you're going to do open queue as a format. But I would rather have a game riddled with DPS players where my value on the map is not fun, like instantly outweighed because somebody is on tank, and that tank player is not even having more fun either. That's like the worst part. Like the depth and the dance of the tank loop isn't there in 5v5, no matter what you do with role lock. So to me, like I consider role lock to be failed at this point, and I was one of the biggest advocates. I got to eat crow on that. I was wrong. Like I was just wrong. I've really enjoyed 6v6 open queue, and I think even open queue in 5v5 would still make the role powers be a little bit more even, and they've just never been able to, because I don't think you can. And I think that the doubters and naysayers of role lock were correct. And before anybody says, oh, I don't want to have the 4 DPS game or whatever where the game's instantly over, buddy, when I have the hog one trick on my team and they swap Mauga, that game is over for me now because I can't kill the Mauga. If my hog's getting gapped as a DPS, what's like, you can't make the play because he's just got so much more stats than you do to make it work in 5v5. So I'm off the role lock train personally. I think 6v6 open queue has worked fine. Is it perfect? No, but go ahead, Flats.
I feel like you can make that argument though for like DPS too. Like if you bump into the fucking Sojourn hit scan server admin, like, well, my DPS are getting gapped. It's GG's. Like it's game over. Like as long as their tank is not like stupid as shit. Like they understand. Like, yep. Yeah. Like okay. A lot of times you're going to, like, let's say you have the Diva available. Okay, I'm going to have to play Diva. I'm going to have to get in their face. Well, now they're getting the Mercy Pocket. They're probably got a Curie or someone, like, also helping them. I get, like, a 3-second window to kill them. As long as their tank isn't giga feeding in that 3-second window, like, while I'm trying to do something.
If their tank matches you to some extent, and it's like Havana or like a sniper map, it's GG for me. Like, there's nothing I can do. Like, it doesn't matter what I play. If their Widow is clicking every head, my Widow is not clicking heads, what am I supposed to do? Like, genuinely, their tank knows what they're doing. I'm like, that's it. Like, I can't push past him. He's matching me, and the map just doesn't let me play Winston or something else. I need to go Sigma. I need to go, and Diva is banned, so I don't have many options either. So I think it goes both ways, really. Like, there's always a situation where tank doesn't have anything to do, and DPS doesn't have anything to do either.
Yeah, I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but I think those things are different in that, like, I'm talking about if the 1v1 can actually happen. Like, obviously, there's denials and things that both roles can do to interact with each other. But say that I go on an angle and I beat my counterpart on DPS and I get the extra space, right? I win that. But my tank loses the tank fight main. Like, if the last resort is me as a DPS going up against a tank in 5v5 role lock, I cannot win that if he has pocket and I have pocket. There's no way I can win that. And obviously, like the Soj and the Widows on their maps are good. I'm not saying that it's like never going to happen or that doesn't happen, but you guys have to acknowledge that, like, as a DPS, you're at a massive like disadvantage in that actual matchup with how many.
Should you win that if it's a tank with the support and then a DPS with the support? Should you win that?
I think it should. I don't think that one role should have a massive fundamental advantage over the other. Like in 6v6 open queue right now, that could go either way. Right? Because like the Diva and Overwatch, say because like an Overwatch 1 Diva, like that was not a 100% win rate. But Diva's like, take Diva for example. She's like the best tank at, like, would you say Diva's like the best tank at like kind of diving an off angle and taking space and controlling that angle? Would that be a fair statement to say? Or one of them at least.
And In current format, like which one? Like 5 or 6?
Just holistically in Overwatch's history. Like if we're talking about forget 5v5 for a second. Say 66. Sure, go
sorry,
ahead.
can I cut in because I want to help Sam here. I'm gonna again do my moderating job, and I'm gonna try and simplify the discussion. So if I misspeak, Sam, feel free to chime in. But I think I can simplify the argument you're making, and I think sometimes it's easier to see that from the outside looking in. I think the fundamental point that Sam is making is that just by picking tank, you automatically exist on a different level than just by picking DPS. So even if you gap your opposite number, the existence of this guy having picked tank is giving him more value, which is frustrating to Sam because it's like, well, I am a player of equal skill. This guy, because we've gone 5v5, is getting like a baby crutch that just because you pick this role, you get to be, 2 steps above me. And I can never gap you no matter what I do. Is that fair, Sam?
It's a higher degree of difficulty for me to gap you because of all the additional things your role gets compared to what it used to be where the matchup was more relative.
I think also, but you're now doing 2 jobs in one. You're doing 2 tanks' job as a single player. And I can tell you so many games where I have played pretty damn almost perfect and I make one mistake, it's GG's. Like if I make a singular mistake on tank, I will lose. If I play DPS, which granted, obviously I'm not as good at, or support, I'm not as good at. If I make a mistake, I will still win fights. Like I will go, I used Suzu too early. It doesn't matter. We gotta kill, our tank killed their tank, or like, this extra damage came in, or actually we ended up not getting pressured. It's fine. It's whatever.
That's the point,
you take
though,
2
right?
steps forward to the right or whatever, it's GR. And it's
that's
like,
the point.
that is.
Sorry, just to say, that's the point that Sam's making, that he has a problem with that you can't do that either. Like, it's bad for you, too, that if you make one mistake, you lose the game on tank because you're only one tank.
Guys, I think it all boils down to the 5v5 or 6v6. I'll be honest. I think this is what you guys are going towards right now, because the reason
100%.
why tanks are raid bosses is because of 5v5, because you need to be, like, there's no world where you can be as... like you can be on the same level as DPS stat-wise or like similar level and be one tank, because then tank will be just useless, right? So,
so what have we learned?
Though it's role lock, because if it was 5v5 open queue, the tank wouldn't need to be that much stronger than everything else.
You wouldn't need 5v5 though if it was no roll lock.
Exactly.
I think.
So what are we doing at this point?
Most people think, but I think that's one of the main draws of Overwatch is people like the fact that it's roll lock. You queue up, you get your role, you get their structure, you get players on other teams. That's what's happening in Rivals right now. People are calling for role queue potentially in Rivals because of triple support. Like it's been happening since the launch of the game, and it's gotten louder and louder as time has gone on. And it's like, if you made role lock in Rivals tomorrow, Adam Warlock becomes fucking useless. But you could technically change him at that point. You could make him do more healing. You could rework him and all these other things. But then you would lose the magic of when you can swap certain comps in certain places, and you're stuck in that hero, right? Like if I queue up for tank, I can't go DPS if my DPS player isn't playing optimally, or support player isn't playing optimally, or we can swap or do whatever it is. All of those things go out the window, which is like probably things that you like in 6v6 because you're a pretty flexible player, where like if you put queue in on DPS and your fucking support player is legitimately lost and they're like, I don't play support, you're like, okay, fucking switch with me, I'll play it, you play tank, some other guy goes DPS, I can do it, I can do everything, right? Like that's a value to you. Most players suck. I'm gonna say I suck. If you put me,
I've seen your Ryan. Don't say that.
500 live. Well, no, I'm saying you put me in a top 500 lobby and you throw me on the DPS. I'm like, like this ain't looking too good. Like in Rivals, I got like 1 DPS in the bag, 2 DPS. I got like the Wolverine and the Star Lord. But outside of that, you throw me like the Hello 1v1. I might as well have fucking no hands. Like I'm fucking trying to aim with the stub of my wrist. It's just I'm gonna lose that every single time. But most players like the structure of Overwatch, and like. But the thing is the reason why we've never had 6v6, the reason why we can't go back is queue times. So like we all know the problem, but it's an unfixable problem. And even though I actually like the 6v6 gameplay more, it's been more fun. But the lack of structure is what turns me off more than anything. And it's like I've actually played against triple support in Overwatch more than I've played in Rivals recently. Granted, I'm playing like High Master 6v6, but I'm just saying I played a lot of triple support in Overwatch recently. But the problem is, though, I like structure. I think most people who enjoy 5v5 like the role queue. And so to get rid of the role queue, I think is a much bigger hurdle than to ever say 6v6 should have more attention or be the main mode. But then this all comes back to the tank thing. If you made it weaker, which they have, and honestly, it's been okay, but I think that's also part of the new passives as well. They have individual passives that kind of make sense, and also the global passive doing more to DPS and support, so there's more value for shooting those guys because the tanks actually get the DPS passive too now, technically, right? But overall, though, it's hard to ask a single player to do a tank role for 2 players in one, where they're always gonna be the first person flamed. They have to be the space maker. They have to win the 1v1 versus their tank. Shooting the enemy tank is advantageously almost better than shooting anyone else on the team, except with the new passive stuff. But like, regardless, so like historically in 5v5, you just kill the other tank, you win the fight every single time. But you know, it's hard to kill that tank. So it's like risk reward for shooting that guy. You're feeding alt charge, but if you get the kill on him, you're gonna win the fight because you're the raid boss and you're better. But nobody plays the fucking role because it's boring as shit. If it was genuinely tank was so strong that you'd win every game, players like to win games. If you could just play tank every game and win every game because you are that much of a raid boss, you'd play tank more often. But you don't because it's shit.
It's not fun.
I'm gonna give Sam a rebut, then I wanna let Bogur in as well.
So here's my thing. One, I think Rivals' existence in open queue shows that there is popularity there. I think triple support in Rivals has been completely a balance issue or a lack thereof. It is a strong comp. I'm not saying it's not strong, but they've not done a good job of actually like attempting to balance it. 3, I think that if we've learned anything, like I was coping, we were all coping. 3, your job, I think the game is healthier overall. When the queue times are gonna be much lower. Or 2, when you actually just give everybody equal tools to win the game. If I'm locked onto DPS and I am like funded like by default, like a weaker value role. Like and by the way, like you can make a ton of mistakes on D.Va right now. Fly in, get out, double bubble with Zarya. Like the matchups are not even.
But
like,
that's D.Va.
It's D.Va, it's Zarya, it's Hog, it's
everything. I mean, it's just
Hog gets kind of rolled now. I feel like
Hog is
he gets rolled by like other tanks, or maybe the one thing I'm defend perks on SVB is there is a situation where you sometimes are picking the Mei freeze perk to freeze the tank if you can to stop their cooldown. That is one perk choice that you do have to consider on the major perks for Mei. So I'll give him credit on that. But like ultimately, like that interaction between the DPS outside of like Soj, I'm not saying, I know it's not fun for you guys. I know it wasn't fun. I'm not saying it's like, oh, every time, but like that disadvantage is there. The power dynamic of the game, I think, is more important to maintain to be equal than it is to force a quote unquote structure in the game, because you're never going to solve the auto loss situation. That's the one thing I've learned. That's the Mad Hatter's like, rabbit hole that I've jumped down, where it's like, you can never, and again, you learned this with Rivals recently with the throwing situation, where you can never control player behavior perfectly. And when you try to add more things in the game from a formatting perspective or how people queue perspective, which by the way, I would be very curious to see if they could leave it open queue, but have some kind of preferred role selection about like what you want to play. It's not going to lock you or anything like that, but it can check your play time, maybe let players select what they want to indicate, hey, I might play this, or like, this is what I can play. And I wonder if there is a middle ground. And I think the next big thing they could do to test out 6v6, a mode that's more popular than Stadium, which has its own dedicated team, okay? Just to throw that out there. I think that would be a really cool
Rivals does it first.
They might. Actually, you know what?
First.
You know what? Actually, you're probably right. I would not be surprised that Rivals does that first. And I think they'll prove that there is because they've been very adamant, and they're right, that they don't want to go to role lock. Like they've adamantly said that since when the alpha or the beta, like they've been very, very outspoken against not going to a form of role lock. And I think after the results here are in, I think they're right. I think that role lock caused more problems and more of a nightmare for Blizzard than it actually solved, especially with the queue times, because I just don't think there's a way to solve it. But I started rambling there for a while, SVB. I apologize.
No, it's good. It's good. Several different points. Anything else you want to add?
Podcast?
Yeah.
What is this? Why are you talking? What?
Listen, you guys know how I can get. Sometimes it's the train that keeps on rolling. So we got to be careful.
I'll give you a second to like just collect your thoughts again, because I want to hear from Bogur for a second. So if there's anything else that comes to your mind that you're like, oh, I wanted to bring this up.
Go to Bogur. Go to Bogur.
The question to you, because obviously we've had a lot of discussion here, so I want to try and recenter. Have you changed your feelings at all? Having learned, like, you've played Overwatch, you've played Rivals, you've played Overwatch since it was 6v6 open queue. To 6v6 roll lock, to 5v5 roll lock.
Overwatch,
10
years. I've been there.
Now everything. Rivals. Do you reflect on it? You're like, you know what? I think this now, or I feel like at least we've learned this lesson. Like, where do you stand after all of that?
Whether or not I like roll lock?
No, just where's your stance? Has it changed? Like,
I
about
mean,
about the
okay,
format of either game.
yeah,
Like, what is optimal?
I get it. I get it. I think Rolog solves the issue of triple support easily. It solves the issue of having multiple, of the same row. But I think also it kind of like just genuinely limits what happens. And like you, as Flats mentioned, like you can't swap around. Like you can't swap with your tank if he's doing poorly. You can't go support if they're doing poorly. You can't, do some funny compositions, like Hail Marys, whatever. I do believe though that rivals should not have a roll log. I like I feel like if they go roll log, they're shooting themselves in the foot. I feel like having the game be 6v6 and having no roll log is what makes rivals so fun. It's genuinely queue times are not an issue because everybody gets in fast. We have had that issue in Overwatch for so long because of roll log. We went to roll log purely because we basically we're reaching the same point we reached with Overwatch. Rivals is hitting this big filter. It's the paradox right here. We have the big filter for Rivals, and it's triple support. Overwatch went through the same thing, and they're like, "Oh shit, we don't know what to do with balancing. We don't know how to change this. Let's add a roll log, right?" And they added a roll log, and that just opened a whole other can of worms, right? There is positives, there's negatives, but Rivals should not follow those footsteps. They should definitely focus on nerfing triple support. They should definitely keep the game as it is. But for Overwatch, I feel like removing roll log is just going to it's going to create way more issues at this point. I feel like people are used to roll log. I think people enjoy queuing up Overwatch and knowing I queued support, I get to play support. I queued up DPS, I get to play DPS. I queued up tank, I get to play tank. And removing that after we've had so many years, we're gonna just keep looping around. Like it's gonna be the same thing again. People are gonna be like, "Why do we remove roll log? Now I need to deal with triple DPS in my team. Now I need to deal with triple support." That, unfortunately, I firmly believe that there is no solution to this. There's negatives, there's positives, and you might prefer something more than the other, but there's no world where one is better than the other 100% of the time. There's no world where a roll log is 100% better, and no world where Rivals with no roll log is 100% better. There's things you like in both, and I think that's what's great. Because if you like roll log, you can play Overwatch. If you don't like roll log, you can still play Overwatch actually. If you don't like roll log, and if you just want a completely different game that has no roll log, has 6v6, you can play Rivals, right? So, it's just an easy solution to balancing issues that I feel like Rivals can solve by actually taking their time to think about it a little bit more than, I'm just gonna add 222.
So it's like a timeline almost with diverging paths, right? Like we kind of have Rivals and Overwatch. They arrive at the same point. Overwatch has diverged in this way, and we kind of don't want to mess with the timeline now. Not to channel your Doctor Strange, which I know you're notorious for.
I'm opening a portal.
Can I ask Bogur a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Bogur, do you think that Blizzard could swap the pro format intermittently every year and do something slightly different between like a 6v6 open queue or a 5v5 roll lock? Or do you think that they should always stick with the same format that they're on right now? Or do you think there's any room for flexibility on that?
I think changing the format completely every year is going to cook people's brains, I'll be honest. I think you can try it and stuff, but people have been playing 5v5 or roll lock for so long. I think shaking up the game is great, but I think changing the core structure of the game is always bad. I think doing what you said here and just completely changing it to 6v6 and whatever else, I think is just, it might work, it might be fun, but it's such a convoluted it's such a convoluted issue. Like there's a reason why it's 5v5. There's a reason why they moved away from 6v6 and Rolog, and it's just so complicated. It could maybe work, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. Like that's the thing. There's no right answer. I firmly believe there's no right answer. I think we've been genuinely sitting here looping about this discussion for the last 10 years. It's been Sisyphus, not Sisyphus. I'm sorry. Like we've been sitting there and discussing it, and like two philosophers and just, or four philosophers, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, just discussing the same discussion over and over and over again every year. And there's no, I don't believe there's a right path. I don't believe there's one way to go.
it feels a
Yeah.
bit like do you prefer cats or do you prefer dogs kind of situation where
I
it's just
agree.
like,
I agree.
you know,
I
we
agree
kind
And
of
it's
with
both
Sam.
now.
I agree with Sam with a lot of the cases. Like, I agree that the game could be more fun. I agree the game could be more interesting. I agree that having the like it is ridiculous that tank is a raid boss and still unfun to play, right? Um, but at the same way, like if they go back and roll back a bunch of stuff and change the game all over again, people are gonna be mad again. I'm gonna be honest. I think people are gonna be again mad. I think
Oh, they
people are gonna
will.
be
They
like,
will.
yeah, and I feel like they just need to stick to one thing. Like they need to make up their mind, and I think they have.
Well, there's both now too at
Mm.
the same time. Like you can
Yeah,
play both. So
that's true. That's true, and that's good.
they showed it's sustainable. So
I think there's a middle ground of not of like between the two of you, and it's like I think that it is very clear that 5v5 roll queue is the main mode. However, though, 6v6, I think, in my own personal opinion, is more fun.
Mhm.
The only difference I have seen is the match quality. All the tank players appear to be in 6v6. If you ever queue up any tank 6v6 games, you get 4 tank players in a team every fucking time. It's actually a little ridiculous. And also, the matches are much wider. Like you will get a diamond, like a low diamond, and a mid GM or high GM player in the same lot because there's less players. I think that if they wanted to do a good faith attempt, they could do a fun spin-off season where they just literally flip the two with where they are and make very clearly 66 is the main mode of the season. And with that, I think they should do roll queue. I think they should give roll queue a season because I think that we're too stupid as a community and a player base. We are genuinely just dumb bastards and forget how long those queues are. And that they should be like, this is the season of 6v6, and they put out a couple balance patches for 6v6, and basically are like, you know, maybe they can even correlate the season story with it, with battle passes and whatever. And they encourage people to play the game as it used to be with like tank duos and combos or whatnot. And then we all play it for a season and we sit there in our 10-minute long queues and tanks get insta queues. And then we all go, man, this kind of fucking blows. And then we flip it back. Or there's the other option where it actually ends up being somewhat kind of enjoyable. And people go, wait a minute, this is actually kind of fun. But you obviously don't take away the 5v5 roll queue as well. I think it can be obviously a little bit more risky, but it'd be a way to test it without breaking the whole system. But like realistically, at the end of the day, it's just genuinely queue times because nobody wants to play tank. And in Rivals, even where I think tank is actually more enjoyable than 5v5 Overwatch, because 5v5 Overwatch is fucking dog shit for tank. You know, like I understand that it will just never happen. It's not possible, you know? And so it's like we're gonna sit here and go back and forth. There's only 2 options. There's open queue 6v6, which is inferior to roll queue for most players, or there's 5v5 single tank, which most people also don't like, in which you have to have it do 2 roles at once. So it's like, what is the answer? Maybe, like Sam was saying before, a soft roll queue format with 6v6, where it's like you select you want to play tank, or you select you want to play DPS, or want to play support, and then it's open queue, and then you can flip around if you want to. Will people abuse that for faster queue times? I bet it's an almost guarantee. If you select tank and then queue up, you get an insta queue. But if you queue DPS or support and you queue up and it's a 10-minute queue, people are going to take advantage of that very, very quickly. So it's like, what do you do? There isn't really like a true answer, because in my personal opinion, Overwatch is an amazing game if you are not a tank player. If you play DPS or support, it's actually a phenomenal game, if not the superior game. If you play tank specifically, I think Rivals is better for you.
I'm gonna take
I
it, Sam, in
think
a sec.
I
Go
like
ahead,
two
Bert.
cakes.
yeah,
Sometimes
Two
I want to play
cakes.
5v5 roll queue. Sometimes I want to run around and have 5 million like healing per second and have like crazy compositions.
Can I ask you
you
guys a
know,
question real quick?
Oh,
Sorry. This kind of
I'll just make a really quick dumb point, and then I'm gonna take it to you. What they could have done, instead of just completely removing the two, they should have just been like, okay, now when you boot up Overwatch, the first thing on the screen is like, do you want Overwatch 1 or do you want Overwatch 2? And you click Overwatch 1 and it sends you the 6v6 land, where like that's the default format. Then you click 2 and it sends you to 5v5, and then you don't have to do the like, you don't have to like have this is the main format. No, it's like this is Overwatch 1, this is Overwatch 2. But anyways, that's redundant because that's not now. They're not gonna rebrand. Actually, guys, we're bringing the 2 back, and that's 5v5 now. Overwatch. Okay, go ahead.
Overwatch 2. I guess
exactly.
So to ask you a question to your statement, you said that you like playing tank and rivals more. What would you say the reason for that is? Would you say that it's because there's way more healing and you get to be up in the fight more, and that dance is there more, where you can control the fight and the role is more forgiving?
I can answer that as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think 6v6 tank is way more enjoyable. I think in Rivals it's really enjoyable to have a second tank to do stuff. Because I think in Overwatch, one of the most infuriating things to me is what Flat said. I need to do everything. And like there are situations where I need to sit on point, but also dive the backline. That's not happening because there's one tank. In Rivals, 2 tanks, 1 can dive, 1 can sit on point. And I enjoy that. There's way less stress on me. And I think Flats will also agree on me on that. That's my point, at least. Like my perspective on things.
Okay. I guess because my question was like, were you guys going to say that, or is it just like the healing numbers themselves being able to dump in, or is it like the actual gameplay loop where you have more dynamic options?
It's both for sure. It's definitely both. Like, I mean, like you can actually sustain in a fight. Like if you let's say you win a fight, right? Like in old Overwatch, when you won a fight, what did you instantly do? You ran up and took space. Today, it's actually a little more difficult. You still take the space, but you're a little bit more scared, right? Like, let's say like Route 66 second, right? You win first point, you wipe them, you go all the way up. You want to like kind of like hold their spawn door a little bit, but you're not like jamming the door like you used to, and you had to like push them out. It's kind of like you're just like poking that corner a little bit. If this is like, and you're on a dive tank, if you're on a dive tank, then you're set up like in the middle, and you're just like poking, waiting, because like you can't do that anymore. Like it's one person's gonna push the cart. It's probably a support if you're lucky, or a DPS is pushing it. And if it's a DPS pushing it, well, then you only got one person holding the angle with you, which isn't a whole lot of pressure. And so you can't actually take that space and hold it. Rivals, you absolutely can. Like you can push all the way to that fucking next choke and then back away using your abilities, like slowly with healing, and you force them to like take that away from you. And if your DPS are actually hitting shots and like kind of off angling, they get a lot of value by holding up with you as well. And it feels more like what I would think in my mind is a traditional hero shooter, where tanks are making space, they have impact, they have big ultimates, but like they don't do a whole lot of damage. But like that's kind of what they're for. They're there for the support ult charge. They build their own ult, which is very impactful. And then depending on what tanks you're playing, like they're marking off angles. So like, if they're having like a solo flank Hela, like you will go duel them on certain tanks, right? And like you will win most of the time. Don't get me wrong, you can lose, but it's almost like you say in Overwatch, like you're gonna lose almost every single time. You can lose in Rivals, but it's not that often. If you have like a Thor taking the flank on a Hela, like you're probably winning them, right? Like the Thor is probably winning that 9 times out of 10, unless that Hela is just the go and they just hit every headshot on you, right? So like even in that game, if it's a tank 1v1 on the flank, like tank wins it a lot of times. But in Overwatch, if you went to go deal with that flanker, now you have no front line and they just walk over your team and you're just dead.
Yeah.
Rivals, though, you have that other person that's sitting there. They are the wall. And like, yeah, they're not going to like keep them all at bay themselves, but they slow them down just enough for like that fight to finish and for you to return. Right. That just kind of like always felt like what it was. And when I played a few 6v6 games with the Emong, right? And the amount of times I got out at 1 HP that I would never get out at 1 HP before, like it just felt like everything kind of like made sense again. I was like, wait, this is like how the game feels right. Like you go in on Winston, you pressure a little bit, you drop bubble halfway through the engage, right? You save it a little bit to block cooldowns. Bubble dies, you jump out, right? That's not how it works in 5v5. You all in and you try to kill someone and probably die. Or like you jump in, hold a spot, and then like you're like behind a wall trying to keep them from pushing onto you, and then like you survive long enough to either get your bubble back again, or your DPS have taken an angle and killed someone, or your supports are now in a spot where they can like pressure / heal you, right? It's not about like engage, make space, back away. Engage, make space, back away using your abilities, using your cooldowns. But it does make sense in 66 Overwatch. But also, not every hero makes sense in 5v5 Overwatch. Like D.Va, obviously, is a good example. Makes perfect sense in 6v6. Zarya is another good example. Makes perfect sense in 6v6. And Rivals, like a lot of characters, like even if they don't have like great synergy, work well in ranked, right? And I don't know if that would be true end up in Overwatch as well. Like I don't know if like Winston Ramatra is going to work very well, but like in Rivals it kind of does. Like you can have like that one trick Hulk and you're like, okay, I can play like a bunch of different things here and it works okay. You could have that one trick Penny and it's like, that's probably not going to be very fun, but I can play a lot of things to work with that guy, right? You're almost never just like fucked from the spawn room from most picks of tanks as long as you have two of them, unless you're playing at the very highest level and you're playing like, I don't know, you're playing like fucking Angela Hulk. Like now you have no front line, you're probably dead. But anyways, though, like it just feels more right. Does that make sense?
Bogur, any thoughts on any of this? Is you know,
It's just nice to have like
seasoned tank
somebody
player.
like, yeah, it's just nice to have a second guy next to you, like because like, the way I see Overwatch right now, once I start getting to like GM4, which isn't champion of course, but I started getting into higher tier lobbies, and it was the beginning of the season, so a lot of people were in GM at the moment. Bro, the game just felt like Valorant. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, it just felt like Valorant on steroids. I peak for a millisecond, I die instantly, right? Like if I peak at the wrong moment. There's a lot of situations where my attention needs to be split. I need to deal with a flank, but I can't because then there's no front line. I need to sit on point, but I can't because I'm diving their backline, right? Now we see 9, we lose the game. That feels horrid. It feels so bad to lose the game because I either need to choose to sit on point or dive the backline. There's no in between because the squishies can't sit on point.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Overwatch changed its payload mechanic to be how Rivals is, where you cap it and it pushes, does that change things?
I think that would be good.
Yes,
Yes,
it actually does.
I think
The amount of
that's a good thing.
C9s I've seen recently has been ridiculous. Actually,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Sorry to cut you off, Bogur. Continue, but I was just that popped in before I forgot.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
agree. I think the payload mechanic is definitely better in the Rivals. I like the fact that it pushes by itself, and then I like that you kind of have to cap it, right? Either way, I agree with Flats on basically everything. I find there's nothing quite as stressful as playing tank 5v5 in Overwatch. And even though it could be fun because you're a raid boss, once you get into high elo lobbies, it's not fun. It's just not fun. I make one mistake, everybody's crashing out on me. We lost the game. It's just really tough. It's really rough. On Rivals, it's just nice to have somebody. It's nice somebody to know that somebody's holding the angle. It's nice to know that somebody's pushing. It's nice to know that somebody's diving. There's some synergy, and that's why Rivals is more team play oriented. Like that's why like the team matters a lot more. It's about making plays together and comboing and doing stuff together, and that is more fun for a tank player. And I think in Overwatch everybody's a DPS. Everybody's a DPS. Tanks are big beefy DPS. I think supports are DPS. DPS are DPS. In Rivals, tanks, even though they can win the 1v1s, they're not really DPS. Like some tanks do more damage than others and stuff, but the DPS are the DPS, the supports are the supports, and tanks are, tanks. It feels like it's scary to approach them, but you won't die instantly just because the enemy team is playing like Zarya and she's full charge and you just get fucking beamed, in the ass, right?
Even
And
micro missiles with the spread, like the
yeah,
teams-
D.Va micro missiles, right? But like again, it's just a really tough situation to even discuss. I think for tanks, it's really unfun to play 5v5. But I think supports, for example, have way better time in 5v5. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. I feel like they enjoy the game a lot more. I've seen a lot more support players since the game became 5v5. They've also buffed support. They've also changed all about support. But I feel like support is really fun in Overwatch, right? So I don't think there's a right answer, but I have to be biased. I do enjoy having a second tank. I do enjoy having the tank synergy. I do enjoy Ryan Zarya, Winston Zarya. I missed that. Winston D.Va. I think that was cool. Now it's just you're playing kind of a big, juicy DPS, and I don't enjoy it too much,
What you're saying
I
is
do
you're
wonder-
romantic at heart. You just want to hold someone's hand.
Yeah,
literally in the middle of the
yeah.
game.
I'm lonely.
I do wonder if changing the payload mechanic would help tanking in 5v5 if they did something that Rivals did. It's something to think about, I guess. Who knows? Maybe it will.
Yeah.
I wonder if that discussion's happened. Gotta wonder.
Sam, last thoughts on just your summary of like what you felt in the formats, and then we're going to move on to another topic.
It shocked me how much I've enjoyed open queue, particularly with bans. Though I guess, you know what, to be fair, I would have to try roll lock with bans in 6v6 as well. but the queue times concern me. I think open queue is way more approachable with a limit to and bans, and it shocked me as to how much I actually have enjoyed it. Granted, I'm probably a more flexible player than most, but I didn't think I would like it, and I always told Hawk not to argue it because he was wrong, and yet maybe I was the fool. So who knows? We'll see. But
Well, I think these things are fluid, right? Just like sometimes also you have to make a mistake to know it's a mistake. You know, like like imagine if Overwatch had never gone roadlock, like the industry wouldn't have felt the same that it does like now, right?
Yeah.
Marvel Rivals wouldn't have made the decisions they did to be able to say, yeah, we don't actually, in hindsight, we don't think that was good because who knew at the time? Nobody could really have said with any empiricism, this is what's going to happen. So, okay. Let's bring it now to more recent events. We talked big philosophy format, but both games obviously have been releasing at a steady pace, so heroes and maps and other such content. So let's have first like a little bit of a touch base on the cadence, because I know this has been a big discussion point in Rivals, now a discussion point in Overwatch. Like, what is the right cadence of release, and how much can be compromised on potential quality and polish versus frequency? And then we'll actually talk about like what is the quality of some of this, like how much have they been hitting it right, both games. So first, big picture cadence. Flats, I know this is a topic that's dear to your heart. So like, how do you feel about the release cadence of both games?
Oh man. Okay, I'm in. So let's start Overwatch. I think for years, the community has treated the Overwatch team like they're a bunch of incompetent children, and they don't know what they're doing, and they can't make things at a decent speed. That's not true. I don't think that they are literal like amateurs who need 6 years to make a single hero. Like, I got a pug hair in my mouth. That's just not true. And I think this season's proven it. Like, we got five characters. They all are polished. They definitely all look very polished to me. And we have another 5 throughout the rest of the year. And it's very fucking clear that if they want to put out more heroes, they can do it. And it's not causing huge issues. And I think that is something that we should have been demanding for a long time, and should not have been saying like, oh, like I want my heroes to be perfect on release and not too strong and not too weak, and they're gonna ruin the balance. Shut the fuck up. Like, dude, like in the last year, like 3 heroes came out. What did we have? We have I think Hazard. Sorry, so like before Vendetta, 3 had Hazard. We had Wu Yang, and we had Freya. People fucking hated Freya, right? Thought she was dog shit, and she was just gapping every team, or was just dog shit. Like, there was no in between. Wu Yang was cool, and Hazard, when he came out, I didn't get to play Hazard. I play against him now. I fucking hate that guy. That guy is like, I don't even like the phrase like slop. Like, I think like a lot of people overuse, like, think everything that they just don't like is slop, and they can't even articulate why they don't like it. That is an actual block slop character. Like, he just jumps in, he does his little slash, and then you hold fucking shield your block until you leave, and you're still doing damage, and you're getting ammo back. It is that whole character is stupid as shit. Which is funny. Because when I saw it like 2 years ago with like the spotlight stuff, I was like, oh shit, this guy might actually be pretty cool. Like, it's a new style we've never going to see. Then after you play him against him for a few weeks, just block slop, fucking horrible. So out of 2 out of 3 and I liked Wu Yang. So like 2 out of 3 were shit. Like we're not cool, not interesting personalities. Like, he's fucking Scottish. That's about it. Like, he's supposed to be punk, dude. He looks like the most generic
the Scottish are
Lego
lit.
looking ass dude. Other than that, there's nothing there. Freya, like a cool bounty hunter, but we saw nothing behind it at all. Like, a cool thing about her is her voice line. That's it, and she can float. She looks like Jet, I guess. Like, okay, now we'd spent all that time for these perfect characters, and it was nothing. Like, it was like, all right, like, would you rather just have more, and then like they're gonna have more hits and misses? But like, when they hit, they hit. But the only way you're gonna get hits is if they're actually getting fucking released at some point, right? So I think we have done a disservice to Overwatch and for our own game to say that they can't put out quality characters at a faster rate. I think that's just dumb. Rivals, very interestingly, I think that people thought that game was going to be slop characters. I think they've gotten more interesting over time. I think that they're scared now a little bit with Gambit, because Gambit was their first true support, and he has literally not been able to play the game since he's been released. And the only way he'd be able to is if they literally like gutted the character, so they're not really sure probably what to do in that department. The new character Elsa, I think was like an attempt of like they're trying to go back to the route of having strong characters on release because they went a few characters in a row where they were very weak on release, and I think they weren't very good. However, really strong hit scan character with an insane ult just made people kind of like not really having a good time with that. But like Angela at first didn't feel like that good, but was like cool and unique. The flying tank flying around over time has become better, has been more liked, and is like more skill expression with it. Deadpool. I think a lot of people actually undervalue. I'm calling you out, Bogur. I said Deadpool was
That's
like
true.
an S tier,
That's true.
top tier
It
tank,
is S tier.
and
You're right.
I actually don't know if this is true. I might have got baited by some chatter. Someone
No,
was
no,
like,
it's
you were
true.
saying,
I
like,
was making fun of you. I was like, this guy's a
Yeah.
crackhead. I was like,
Yeah,
and it turns out, he was fucking busted. His best tank in the game. No buffs.
You were right.
Just got there.
You were right.
And then like the support one was actually thought it was the best, and like I like within like the first few days, everyone's like support's not even close, and then like within a week, everyone's like, he might not actually be that good. And then like with time fell like really hard, and like DPS actually might be like the second best now, and support might be the third. It's obviously debatable, but like regardless, though, like the characters with time have shown that they're like have more potential to them than people realize. There's more nuance to them. And I wouldn't say they're slop in any way, shape, or form. I think they've all been good. Whether they're healthy and fun to play against is a little different, but like they're not like buggy. They're not like breaking the game. They're not like, oh, look at this low effort polygon looking ass shit. The skins have all been good. Like there's very rarely there's like a really shit skin. They do a lot of like those mini micro battle passes where like you get like the free stuff in it, or you can buy it and get like the other stuff. And like they're mostly good, right? So like they've been in a year of actually almost a year of doing monthly release characters while doing their normal content release. And I wouldn't say the quality's fallen off. I think that just people have gotten upset with like the gameplay elements, but like content wise, I think they're still doing fine. I'd like to see more maps. They did have a few misses on like the maps in that game mode that kind of sucked, but then they got rid of it. They were like, yep, that wasn't fun. Sorry. But like overall, their content is still good and it gets people to play the game. Deadpool season's a good example. Obviously, there's gameplay elements that are not totally there at the moment, but we're a year in. They're still keeping up content-wise. It hasn't fallen off a cliff. Overwatch is now picking up the pace. The quality still seems to be there. I don't think there's anything to say that like, you know, more content at the speed we're getting means less quality.
Sam, and then I'll take it to Bogur.
So I want to add on a little bit to what Flat said and then give my own take. One, and this is again the full circle moment of the games making each other better. I would say the only reason why I think things like Hazard and Freya like came off a little bit more boring is because it didn't feel like they were telling the story in the game anymore like they used to in Overwatch 1. Like you guys remember the Retribution events, the Uprising
Sigma.
events. Yeah, Sigma. Dude, this
Sigma release
this
was
You
release
just
was
hit his trigger
insane.
word. You just hit Sam's trigger. You mentioned Sigma
Bruh.
release.
No, that
Bruh.
trailer was like
It's
actually one of the
insane.
best ever. That was so
I still
hype.
rewatch it. I see TikTok edits. They probably have never played Overwatch ever. For
Yeah,
voice lines
yeah,
from Sigma. It's insane.
It was so
Yeah.
peak. They stopped doing that, or like, well, they stopped. It was a PvE shit, right? But Rivals was doing that, and now Blizzard's doing that again in the game. Even though, don't get me started on hyping up Doomfist for literally a decade for him to airbend like he was in the Aang collab. Like, oh my god, I was so tilted about that. I was so mad about that. Like Talon washed so bad, washed. But regardless, I mean. I think that the main reason that the big disconnect, and first of all, the Scottish people in gaming are pretty lit, man. Like if you hear us, like, and if I'm going through Witcher 3 and I hear like I guess it's immersive. Maybe not in this case, I don't know, but like careful.
They're
with the
pretty lit
Scots.
except Hazard's VA. I don't like that guy. Connor, I
Damn.
don't like him. You can send that to him.
Oh god,
Somebody's clipping
what
that.
have we started? But no, but again, like Rivals telling their story in the game brought Overwatch back to doing it. Now, in terms of actual releases, like I think Blizzard has done a great job and they're like getting back on track, but I still don't think for where it stands right now, like they'll need another year of build up and maybe a Netflix show or something to actually happen. But dude, like, you're not going to go band for band with the Marvelverse. You're just not. It's not. Look at Deadpool, dude. Look at Deadpool. When Thanos comes out, it's over with the snap. He'll snap everyone out.
He deletes Overwatch. They release NetEase has bought Overwatch and just delete the servers.
Dude, that would be insane. That would be insane. It's just like you can't. And what's crazy is like there's just so much to that, right? Like there's, you could do Silver Surfer. You could do like they haven't really like done Doom yet. Like you can tie it in with like you can't go band for band with that. You can't. It's like trying to go band for band with Pokemon in terms of having the biggest brand. Like it's just though they're gonna release the same game over and over for 10 years, and everyone's gonna keep eating it up, even though they won't actually innovate anything like Pokemon.
Copia just came out.
And all of you guys, and Flats, I know you're gonna stream it too, are gonna buy it every year like your Call of Duty sheep. And
I've never played Pokemon in my life.
My Copia just got delivered today. It's actually in a box downstairs, and I got a package from Pokemon. The guy who used to work at Overwatch League. He used to be the community manager for Overwatch League. He works for Pokemon now.
Flats killed Pokemon. Flats killed Pokemon.
I can't wait to open it. I think it's Pokemon cards. I'm so excited. Sorry.
I love Steven. He's great. But you're part of the problem, Flats. Where is my
I'll play it. I don't care. I'll buy it. I'll play it every time. You can't stop me.
The most grossing franchise to ever exist, and they can't get a Game of the Year nominee in 20 years. What is this, dude? Where is it? Like,
I don't care. I'm playing it again. It's a new game. It's fun. I'm gonna beat the champion. I'm gonna beat the champion. I'm gonna move on.
All right, fellas. All right. Let's bring it back on track.
I love the Pokemon debate in a Rivals versus Overwatch debate.
Yeah, let's just add a third game. Rivals versus Overwatch versus Pokemon. Should Pokemon be 6v6? Answers on a postcard, please.
Pokemon is 6v6. That's the thing. That's why it's better.
Yeah, maybe it is. Good point. Touche, Flats. Anyway, God, I forgot what I was saying. But you're not going band to band. You're not going to go band for band with Rivals. That's not even a knock at Overwatch. Like, they're doing great. When it comes to that, like, IP strength, like, just keep building yours over time. That's the one thing where I would say, like, don't look at Rivals exactly and try to go bar for bar that. Like, tell your story and keep doing that. But, like, dude, it's just Marvel. There's so much. Like, imagine they dropped Green Goblin. Like, you can just go down the list of antagonists that Blizzard is
Goblin out of all villains.
Because Green Goblin's lit. Did you not watch the original Spider-Man trilogy? Dude,
I did.
Dude, he was lit in that, and then he brought him.
That's the thing, though. You just pull these random ones out of thin air, and it's like, okay,
Great, I was good. He's good. Or
Green
like
Goblin. Green Goblin against the Phoenix Force. Okay, what the fuck is Green Goblin gonna do?
Okay. Well, let's not act like power scaling is actually accurate in Rivals because Wanda is ass, and she would be lit if she was actually true. But regardless, like it's just I think villains and SVB were talking about this before the show about like why the Arkham series was so good was because of the Joker in that series was just so great. The Marvel antagonists are just so much better than the Overwatch antagonists because they didn't do shit with any of them, and then the main antagonist just got one shot. So what the hell, man? Yes, I'm salty. All right, but no, I think that the cadence of Rivals, like you just can't match it. It's just too big.
Can I be honest with you on that? I think I know why. Because like realistically, if you like saw those couple comics leading up to that cinematic, like they just wrapped up like the Null Sector story. I think like they want to start fresh. They want to have their own character that they like built their whole story around. Because like with Doom, right? Like there's old lore. Like maybe they don't know all the old lore. They're not familiar with it. So like starting fresh by like just pushing that guy in the background, it's like I get it, I understand it, but like I know what you mean.
Terry Crews was begging to voice act. That's how lit Doomfist was. That first Doom trailer. You want to talk about the Sigma trailer? That Doom trailer where he grabs Tracer and it's just that's my random bet.
8 years later, 8 years later, Terry Crews just wakes up in a cold sweat. He's like, "Was someone still talking about my Doomfist?"
He just got to chill him down his spine just now, actually.
Yeah, what if he did? Who knows? So shout out Terry Crews. He's awesome. The Doom voice actor is great too. But you guys get what I mean. I won't go back on this anymore. I just Overwatch has been great. They should be happy with what they're doing. Don't compare yourself to Rivals. Then like it's just David versus Goliath. Like you can't do it. It's okay. You're both doing great, but I think Rivals has the edge.
Okay. Well, we were on the ostensible topic of hero releases and cadence and all that before Pokemon decide to start some beef. So Bogur, I'm gonna take it to you. Are you like do you see any danger in Overwatch's release cycle? Do you think there's a chance that because obviously like Wu Yang and Anran have like a story and they're like queued into the rest of the game, and Juno has an impact on the map. So these are the things that people have said for years that we want Overwatch to do. We want it to be like to feel like a hero release has an impact on what's going on. But do you think that like that's gonna run out? Because unlike Marvel Rivals, they don't have existing canon to pull from. So do you think they can keep the pace?
I think they can't keep the pace. That's just impossible to keep up the pace with Rivals. First, that Rivals just has infinite money with Disney and stuff, and they are not afraid to waste, like, spend it. And second of all, they just have so many
Waste
characters
it.
in the Marvel
Waste. I mean,
universe.
spend it. I mean, please give
I
me
mean,
money, Marvel Rivals. It's not a waste.
but please. But I think with Rivals, the fact is that you have so much to pull from, you know, like from the Marvel universe, as we said. And the most important thing of a hero shooter is quite genuinely the heroes. Like, I don't play Sigma. I love his character, and I think his character is so hype. I love even the small ass trailer that wasn't even like anything crazy. Brought in so much attention to the character, to the game, whatever else, and I think they're definitely missing out on that quite a bit with their newer hero releases. Like, it's cool that they do comics and it's cool that they do stuff, but I'm really genuinely missing the shorts. I genuinely am missing the really cool shorts. Like, I'm missing the cinematics. They did do a cinematic, but it doesn't hit the same, you know. Um,
The Reinhardt one was insane.
like, I rewatched the cinematics for Overwatch. Like, it was hype. It still is. It's just really hype. And the fact that these characters have lore and you know a bit more of these characters, it genuinely makes the characters more fun. It makes me want to play the game more, because that's what matters for a hero shooter. It's about living the hero fantasy, and there is no fantasy to be living playing Freya, because you don't know anything about Freya. There's nothing to know about Wuyang, really. There's small tidbits here and there, but there's nothing really interesting or like easily accessible that is interesting. Hazard as well, even though I like Connor and I think some of the gameplay loop is fun, just doesn't have anything to him. And I feel like this really takes away quite a bit from the game. I think just the sheer scale that Deadpool had, like the effect that character had by them just releasing him and keeping him accurate to the comics and having fun with him was insane. Like, it was insane. And they can keep doing that with so many characters in Rivals. They can keep releasing famous characters, and they've been doing a good job with hero releases. I'll be honest, people might disagree and they say, "Oh, these characters are broken," and they are. Gambit is broken, and Elsa is broken, and they do need to be nerfed. But they're fun. Like, it's fun to play Elsa. It's fun to play Deadpool. And I think the new characters are more fun than the previous characters. They might be more broken. That's a balancing issue, but balance wise, not balance, design wise, they're so cool. Like, I think playing Elsa the first week or so was really fun. Playing Deadpool was really fun. It's a really unique character. Angela, I really like Angela. So even though people are like, "Oh, they're just releasing slop characters," I disagree. I don't think the new characters are slop. I genuinely believe there's a lot of thought and a lot of love put into those characters, and they just need to figure out the balancing. They just need to figure out what they want to do with these characters and how they want to change them. And they don't really need to release crazy cinematics or crazy lore, because we have all of it. We know everything about that, but we know everything about all of these new characters, and it's hype. And like, just Spider-Man himself, like, there's so many people larping as Spider-Man in games, because Spider-Man is such a notorious character, and the gameplay is really, honestly, like, it follows the same structure as you would imagine the character to have. Like, it is what I would imagine Spider-Man to play as in a hero shooter. Maybe Scarlet doesn't fall in the same line, but that one's a little bit hard. You know, lore-wise, Scarlet is a little bit OP.
Yeah.
But they're doing a good job. They know why people love the character. They bring out the best in the character. They follow the structure that's supposed to happen, and they are very, you know, they understand. They just understand. I genuinely believe they're fans. They love Marvel. That's one thing I know about the developers. They love Marvel, and there's a love put into these characters. So I don't think Overwatch can ever match Rival's output of characters. And I think the characters that they release, even if they try to match it, would just be infinitely more boring, because they need to invest so much more to develop the lore than Rivals ever has to. So I like the new characters in Overwatch. I think they're fun to play. I played Freya recently. She was really fun. They're just boring. They're just boring lore wise. They're just not interesting characters, because there's no budget to develop them. There's no time to develop them, and I think they've chosen the path of we would rather release new characters that are fun to play. Lore is secondary, and I kind of understand that logic. But again, the most important thing in a hero shooter is genuinely living the hero fantasy, and that's why Overwatch was really cool in the beginning, and even like the first few years, even though the characters were ass balance wise, like genuinely ass, it was really cool to play Doomfist because they were hyping him up. They were hyping up the gauntlet and Numbani and everything. I was like, bro, this character sucks to play against, but fuck is he hype, right? Sigma, I find him so boring, but I find him so hype as a character. So I genuinely believe they should definitely invest more into developing these characters because there is stuff to be developed. Like there's a seed that can grow into something larger, and I think that's like the final piece they're missing is that Overwatch Blizzard magic that was there in the first few years. Now it's kind of like, oh, we got the character, we released him. He's kind of fun to play, but it's just John Overwatch, you know. Like it's like okay,
Emre Overwatch, you know, like
Emre
really cool.
Overwatch.
And like
Yeah,
it
he's
kind of
cool.
could I add on to that SBB real quick?
Yeah,
Or like
go
kind
for
of
it,
ask
go for it.
a question to Bogur? Like Emre, like the way he sounds in game, his ult is like my favorite Sense Sigma. Where he just like it really like they kind of just they said his personality like from a dramatic irony POV SVB or like a third person like when they were describing the character like they said like he sounds like he's being taken over and like they hinted at that lore but there wasn't like the animated short like Reinhardt had to tie it together. So Bogur, I guess my question is when you're talking about that like if they're gonna match like they can't quite match Rivals like actual release schedule, but do you think that if they did like one big animated short and like
I was
tied the
thinking about
characters
that.
in,
I
like
was thinking
for
about
each
make
release,
one.
like,
That's what
yeah.
I was thinking about. One big animated short. I think it's important. I think a lot of the higher ups are like, oh, it's a waste of money. But it is so important to have these shorts. They were so like pivotal. They were so important in Overwatch popularity back in the day. Like they were
Oh yeah.
genuinely so people when they see these shorts, they get so hyped to play the game. They want to try out these characters. They want to live that fantasy. Making a
Right.
big ass short, well animated, pulling on my heartstrings, give us some more lore about Emre. I think Emre is really cool. Like, there's a lot of alleged lore about him getting taken over by a Finnish AI. Because we talked with the voice actor, me and Flats yesterday. He was in our games. We played some quick play with him, and like he doesn't confirm or deny anything because he can. But it's really cool. And like, oh, there's a Finnish AI that's taken over Emre and whatever. Like, develop that. Like, I want to know more about it. I also want to know why Brigitte put a fucking jetpack on a cat. Like, what the fuck was going on there, right? I think they're just missing that. They need to give us something, and I think that's gonna be really cool. Like one big short, you know, how they met each other, how they fight against Vendetta, or like they meet against Talon. Talon is kind of fucking boring nowadays. I'll be honest.
Yeah, they fumble Talon.
They
Talon's fumbled.
fumbled
I think you're
Talon.
right.
They have no aura. When I watched the Vendetta short, there was no aura there. There was no
They were
aura.
sitting there like
They
like
were
a
just
deer in
sitting there
headlights.
watching.
I know.
Reaper
Even-
just sitting there staring.
They're just on the Zoom. They're just on the Zoom call, checking like their social media.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you
Yeah.
know, they're just like, oh, it's the
I was
weekly
like, okay.
Talon Zoom meeting. Oh, fuck's sake, Doomfist dying or
Yeah.
whatever.
They didn't even care. They didn't even care.
They didn't care.
They're just like, hey, yo, where's my paycheck coming from now? Like, what's up? It's just like they did not give a shit. So yeah.
I get it though. But like I will say to give them credit as well, I think they've had to reformat and like reformulate
Yeah.
their approach. And like they've kind of been doing that ever since Overwatch 2 kind of knocked it askew. But I think now they've kind of got the foundation to make a big jump next year. I really do. Like,
hope
I think
so.
that
I
they're, like,
hope so.
almost there. It would help Rivals
think
too.
so,
I think
too.
it helps everybody.
I think so too.
Okay, well, if we start begging for a Netflix show again, then we truly are 8 years back.
do an
we may as well talk to
show.
Terry
They
Crews.
don't have to
Talk
do
to Terry
that.
Crews about it.
Hey, Terry Crews is lit, man. They should talk to him. They should bring him in for something.
So yeah, I mean, I think you know that's another universal. We've always said better story. Of course, you know the whole PvE debacle. We don't need to go over it, but you know we've always said more stories. So you know, let's see. Every year there's a new rumor about something coming in the works. There's always some new rumor about like an anime or a TV show so. I guess we'll see when the proof is in the pudding. Let's sort of put a pin on the release stuff with the final discussion on just like non-hero related releases, right? So like skins and maps. I think both Sam and Flats mentioned like talk about maps, particularly in Marvel Rivals. I think Sam, you said you really wanted to bring up the map in your
yeah,
background.
Yo, why are we still doing map pulls? Like, what do you guys know? Like, what happened to the maps?
I think they're bringing them
Why-
back
They
next.
took them. They took
Isn't
Are
them.
they
that-
back?
isn't that, like,
I think
I
they're
don't
bringing them
know.
back. They're bringing
I
them
read
up.
that
Yeah, they're
online.
bringing
I don't know
them-
if
they're
that's true,
bringing them
though.
back.
Why were they
Pretty
just
sure they're
gone
bringing
for a
them
year
up.
and a half? Did they get Thanos snapped out of existence?
I
What
don't
is
know.
going
Genuinely,
on?
have no idea. No clue.
They might have
Just
reworked them potentially, but if they didn't, then it's like, okay, well then why were they gone? I don't know.
No idea.
I just-
no
you
idea.
know, I love the rollouts over the top of the roof. And again, like maybe that map is kind of Anubis reminder, and it kind of feels like Anubis, like with that choke. You guys know the impossible Anubis chokes, but like I was the Junkrat player on that map. I could play Panther Iron Fist and sit on the roof and jump on backlines, and it was fun. I don't know. I just kind of missed that map, but yeah, map pools got to go in both games. I think map pools are the biggest bait, like fake diversity, less is not more crap ever, and they just need to go in both games. Map voting would be sick though. I think Blizzard adding map voting was awesome. It's like all they need to add now is a map reroll when my map selection is Havana, Paricio, and Numbani or something. Give me the reroll as well so I can get to Nepal or Kings Row. Also, can we flame the new gen Overwatch players for a second? Y'all trying to act like the Kings Row is not the S tier map? Like I'll be playing 5v5. Dude,
it's not S tier.
Okay, what map? Okay, hold on. What map would you say? Where would you put it if not S? It's got to at least be A on your list.
Bro, okay, my thing with Kingzo is you're just playing the same comp over and over again. Like there is no like, it is like dominated by just playing Rush. Like you just play Rush and you send it down main. Like there's no what?
The best comp in the game.
I mean, like it's just at least I like. Of course, it's also my hero preference. I like maps with high grounds. I just want to play Winston or like something that can like dive and stuff. But like Rush maps, I just despise the fact that I will play Rush. I'll go Kings Row, and it's if the enemy team has a Lucio player, has a Rhine player, or like a Ramatra player, or whatever. Like if they have that strategy, if they have that comp, and we don't have that comp, more often than not, we just lose because the map is just so
fair,
like there isn't much in terms of strategy. You just like it's
you can't
fun.
Circle around. It's like it's the lanes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's fun if you do the match, like Rush v Rush. But if your team has a Zen one trick, I'm like, bro, I'm fucking wrap it up.
It's tough. But one thing that I will say is funny in 6v6, it always gets like the whole lobby voting for it, but in 5v5, it almost never does.
Yeah,
because all the tank players want to do their little synergies. That's literally what it is.
I think Kings Row would be way more fun if you in 6v6 because you can like synergize with your tank. I agree with that.
True.
Well, I hate to break it.
Go ahead, Flats.
I was gonna say I hate to break it to you guys. Overwatch is probably more of a Zoomer game these days, right? Like
I know.
Like years ago, it was definitely like a millennial game, for sure. Like 2016 through 2022, like it had an absolutely older player base. But I don't know if you guys remember then. We talked about it where they were 100% marketing towards a younger generation. They were trying to compete for the Fortnite base, and I think they got it. Like Fortnite in a lot of ways has declined significantly. And I think that's also why you see Overwatch is a little more I don't know if this is the right word for it, but I'd say radical, where it's like very much like if you don't say that everything is perfect, that you are like the boogeyman, like everything you like. Fuck you,
K-pop
which
fans?
is not how it used to be. It's kind of like K-pop fans, where it's like everything is perfect, never say it's not perfect, and like there's a lot of people that do echo that sentiment as well. Like even if they don't believe it, like they will. Like I cannot tell you how many times I've like come across like where I see like some Twitter user who like will like basically go heart and soul tell like someone like you're so wrong, you're so stupid or whatever, and then like 2 weeks later they have their own tweet where they say the same thing, and I'm like, you only said that because everyone else was saying it. Like, well, you just said the same thing, like now you agree. And I do think that's this is obviously a little more of a philosophical conversation at that point, where it's like especially younger generation loves to follow the crowd. They don't want to be different. They don't want to be someone who like goes against the grain. Like it's more safe to stay with everyone else, and so you'll actually see a lot of the same opinions get echoed even if they're not totally true. And Overwatch has actually become more and more of that. I feel like as I've watched over the last like 2 years. Not saying that's a bad thing. Like Overwatch obviously is doing well because it has that generation of players to come into now. But I just wanted to say it because it's like, most of us are probably like aged out. Like there's actually probably not that many of us anymore. And that's actually where the 6v6ers are. Like they're playing Kings Row because they're used to playing Kings Row.
They're all
but like for the reason why the 5v fighter / new gen doesn't like it is because it just doesn't play the same. And so it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't do as well. And so most people are playing it because of nostalgia. So like, like if you try to play 5v5 Kings Row today, you lock Ryan, walk out. Well, guess what? They fucking walk out on at best Ramatra, but mostly it's going to be fucking like Sigma or some shit, and they're going to smoke your ass.
Or
while they sit
Diva.
there on their or Diva. They're gonna sit on high ground and they're just gonna poke you the entire time, and you're gonna sit there trying to shield something, and you're just not. You're not even gonna play the fucking game. Like, so it is what it is, but it's like a little. It's very different now. Where a lot of this stuff might come off different. Like to us, it makes perfect sense because that's how it's like it always was. But it's so different now. It's so different. Like, and that's why it's so radically. You see such like differing opinions. I feel like a lot of like the older gen want like their game that they've always enjoyed, and the new gen is still shaping it. Like they're not even sure what they want yet. So like they fight a little bit against the grain of what the game is, but also that's why I think you just see so radically different opinion, which isn't exactly a bad thing. But then again, it's like, who's Overwatch going to listen to? I don't know.
They know exactly what you want. What do you mean? They want more Kiriko skins because Kiriko's taking over the game.
No, they hate it. They hate the skins.
Dude,
that's probably the number
funny.
one thing. They hate the fucking skins.
It's so funny, dude.
It is funny though,
and it's just like a symbol where it's like, oh my god, Kiriko got another skin, and like you go in the game, and it's just like, dude, there might be more Kiriko skins than catalogs of Marvel.
Mercy got 2 mythics.
Yeah, she did. She has 2
mythics.
Is there like a rivalry there between like the Mercy players and the Kiri players about who gets more skins? Is that like because I see that beef sometimes, but like I don't know.
I'll be real with you. I think Mercy fell off.
She did fall off. Mercy's no longer the face of Overwatch. I think Kiriko is now. Actually, unironically, I don't care how much hate I get for it. It's absolute facts. Kiriko is the new face of Overwatch.
That's true.
She is.
I'd argue it's Juno.
Juno's
also, yeah.
Where's Aspen? We need to ask her. She'll know. Like, she would definitely have an answer for that. 100%. I feel like Aspen is always on top of like cultural trends and stuff. Like, she's just on the ball.
Is Aspen the Dress to Impress streamer?
This is just like two rich dudes just like rolling around in a pile of gold. It's like, who's better, Mercy or Kiriko? And then there's this like the poverty-stricken Lucio and Baptiste players just sitting outside the window like, please, sir, can I have some more?
I'll see the occasional Frogger tweet too where it's like another day with Lucio and Kiriko just got this entire cattle.
Yeah. Hey, it sells. It sells. People buy it.
It sells, dude.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
I know how many skins you need.
It is a reality of it, right? Like I think that I think Flats makes an interesting point. I don't even know what we can necessarily like. I don't think we'll go on that whole tangent. Certainly not on this call, but like it is an interesting point. No. I think it's an interesting discussion to be had at some point about like, you do have to shift your demographic because not is it just about chasing new players, but it's also like, well, people as they get older, like me, they just get sick of this shit and they don't want to play a live service game anymore because it's like fucking I don't need a second life keeping up with patch notes on Overwatch, right? Like it's just like it gets real, it gets difficult, and when you're not 17, it's harder to maintain that. So you do probably have to evolve. Like probably players who are boomers like me have to they're like, I'd rather just play frigging solo player game where like I can chill, and I don't have to like hard grind against some guy 8 cans of Red Bull down on like an Adderall trip, just flicking every headshot in my face. So yeah, I think an interesting meta discussion. We have, I think, gone on quite a while, and I'm careful to not abuse you guys' time on the return. I won't turn this into a 4-hour behemoth. So at this point, I'll say, is there anything else you want to bring up right now before I head to like more concluding kind of section? Anything else you guys like? Oh, I really wanted to bring this up right now.
More Kiriko skins. More Juno skins.
You're right. Listen to the fans. Listen to the fans. More.
Less Lucio. That guy has too much.
In fact, they should kill Lucio in the lore next. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, fuck it. Just kill all of them.
He's just DJing one time and he falls off the platform.
What is that DJ even gonna do against Sigma, bro? Sigma controls black holes. What is Lucio gonna do? Like play some beats? Like, well,
yeah, he's playing for the vibes, man.
It's playing for the vibes.
You reminded me of like what I think like 2 years ago I made like a meme tier list of like who's strongest in lore, and I was just like, Hanzo, he's just a guy with a bow, and like people were trying to lynch, like the Hanzo fans were just like, murder this man. Do you understand that his bow has this like next level spiritual technology?
That's magic.
Guys, the Dragons trailer has been officially power crept. It's time to just accept it. Yeah. One shield bash and it was over.
One shield bash is gone. Yeah.
Okay, well let's then look at the big picture again as we kind of approach our conclusion. Let's think about like, bear in mind everything we've been discussing. the influence of one game onto the other, and releases and format and heroes, and where do we see that future going? Like, what's going to happen, let's say the next 6 months, the rest of the year, in this relationship between Overwatch and Rivals? Do you see one game profiting from that more than the other? Do you think that like one game is better positioned to succeed in the next 6 months, or do you think it's going to continue to just be back and forth, one as a high, one as a low, one, like how do we view the next year for both games? I'll go to Bogur first. Bogur, how do you view
It's a tug of war
2026?
now. Like it's like they're just both pulling at the same rope. Like I think at some point Overwatch is better. I think then Rivals comes out, then that's gonna be better. And then people are gonna play some Rivals, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, Overwatch is dead, and then Overwatch is gonna come out with something cool. And then I think the both games are gonna learn from each other and adapt. And like I like it. I genuinely I'm so like I can't express how happy I am that we have Rivals. I think I said many times Rivals is the best thing to happen to Overwatch. Overwatch was so stale. It was so ass. They didn't listen. They didn't care because they had no competition. Rivals came out, as Vlad said, day one, they knew who their competition was, and they did everything that Overwatch wasn't doing. And then it was like, hold on a second. Hold on. We need to lock in. And they started doing stuff. They recently released the 5 characters. They added bans like we've always asked. They added map bans. They started implementing more systems. They decided to freshen things up, and that's really good. And now I bet your ass Rivals is preparing something massive as well, because there's no way they're gonna let Overwatch just win the hero shooter war. Because if Overwatch didn't exist, Rivals would be in the same spot as Overwatch was back in the day. I highly doubt they would be spending so much money and resources and like putting in so many things if there was no competitor, because why would you do that if there's no reason to? So it's a tug of war. I don't think any of the two games is more well positioned in the future to like truly take over and be the de facto hero shooter. But right now it seems like Overwatch is winning. Season 7, I'm excited to see what's happening with Rivals, and I'm excited what to see what they've been cooking. What's the big next thing that they're gonna make? So I don't think there's like any winner here. The only winner is the end consumer. I still don't understand people sitting there like a tribe trash talking. I've seen people trash talk me. I've seen people trash talk Flats when we play Overwatch. I've seen people be like, oh, why are you playing Rivals? Why not Overwatch? Like, brother, 2 cakes. Today I don't want to play Overwatch. I'm playing Rivals. Today I want to play Rivals. I'm playing Overwatch, right? Sometimes I want to play either. I'm playing Deadlock, okay? And that's great. That's how gaming is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting point that I can sort of, and yeah, Deadlock is another one. Maybe there will probably be a future podcast episode on Deadlock, because again, it seems like it's also
Gotta get Metro on here, dude.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the like creators of kind of a lot of the Overwatch creators. I feel like we're kind of like that birthing sphere for a lot of these other games, right? Like that went into Marvel Rivals and Deadlock and stuff. But I think one of the interesting things that I noted on my return was like it's actually surprisingly small, the number of people who haven't tribalized into Marvel Rivals or Overwatch. Like I was trying to like figure out like the scene. I was like, who can I speak to?
It is small, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, who can I speak to who's actually playing both games, who's actually like engaging in good faith with both games? Because it feels like there's some people who do engage, but only in bad faith, only to be like, oh well, I checked out Marvel Rivals last week and it's complete dog shit. Like, can you believe this, that, the other? Can you believe, or vice versa? Like, I checked out Overwatch and I could not even believe that my character did this or blah blah blah. And actually, I think that's really sad. That's like a really sad place to be. I mean, I can understand it. It does happen. It is human
SCB,
nature to some extent. Yeah.
It makes so. I don't mean to cut you off, but like,
no, go ahead.
It is genuinely makes so much sense. I'm telling you, like, as a content creator, that is the smartest thing you could do. It is. Like, I've been experimenting a little more with like doing like game reviews, talking about other stuff. I'm telling you right now, I did one most recently on Marathon. And I talked about how I thought the game was okay. And I understood like why people didn't like it, but I personally didn't like it for these reasons. But I understand why people liked it and explain why that was. And I'll tell you right now, that is one of my already like it was disliked pretty heavily. I've had more people like messaging me like your takes are so dog shit. All I said was it was okay. Like I didn't say like it was great or I didn't say it was shit like most people. I said it was okay. And I talked about what was good and what was bad. And I'm telling you, The reason why that is if you take a side, you have those tribalistic people that will come to your aid. If you're on the other side, those tribalistic people will come to your aid and they will fight for you because you are on their side. If you are talking about the nuances of both, you have no one. You're by yourself. And that's realistically what happens in a lot of online spaces. It is way more advantageous to pick a side and stick with it than to try to have nuance with both. It's actually really sad. But you're
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I think it's very
I'm
well
telling you
said.
right now, it is miserable. Like if I'm honest with you, it is fucking miserable to bounce back and forth between Overwatch and Rivals. Even though I personally enjoy it, it is the worst thing for my stream because it constantly starts fights, it constantly starts arguments, it constantly has people going, why are you not playing this one today? And then if I do talk about something I like for the other one, that gets clipped, and other people are like, oh my god, he's shilling for the other game, or oh, he's just because he's getting paid. Oh, which, by the way, best part about playing Rivals of all time was when I started playing Rivals after Overwatch, is everyone said, oh my god, he's shilling for this game. I actually got paid to do sponsor streams, which are hashtag ad. You actually see it. I had 100 times out of 100 rather be called a paid shill and actually get paid than be called a paid shill and not get fucking paid. Because either way, it happens no matter what. If I played Warframe, actually I said Warframe because it doesn't matter what game I'm fucking playing. If I'm playing a game, it's like, oh, this must be an ad. I played ZZZ. Oh my god, this must be an ad that you must be getting paid. Everyone will always say you're getting paid if you're playing something else half the time. So it's like, I'd rather get paid than not get paid. That said, though, it's sad. It genuinely would more advantageous for you to pick a side than to not. And I have tried to do my best to walk both. And if I'm completely honest with you, it has turned me off to both games as communities more than embracing both of them. And it's like I've tried to form my own little group where it enjoys both, but that is 10 times harder than just picking one. And so if you see that, that is because that is actually in their best interest. And you probably, if you've read through their comments and read through their other stuff, the feedback loop is so much stronger to do that than to try to do both. And it sucks, but it genuinely is the truth.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is like the return podcast, was because I was just like, why is it like this? Because everyone with sense has said, yeah, the existence of both games is helping the other one, right? Like Overwatch is existing is good for Rivals existing is good for Overwatch. And yet all the discourse online is just, yeah, as you describe, it's just either we hate Marvel Rivals or we hate Overwatch, and just like we're just gonna go back and forth, farm our tweet engagements by saying how bad the other one is. And it's just like, it just feels really sad. I know that like ultimately that's how social media works. Like algorithms work by, you know, trying to like feed you more of what you liked. So if you liked a reasonable nuanced take, it's harder for the algorithm to be like, what do I give this guy? Whereas if you're just like every I hate Marvel Rivals tweet, it's really advantageous for the algorithm to just keep feeding you, yeah, here's some more, yeah, here's another guy who fucking, yeah, who's dog poo poo, yeah, here's another one. And it's just kind of sad. I just think that like, yeah, I feel like that's one thing at least I want to try and provide. I feel like that's what we've always tried to do on the podcast. I think hopefully, you know, all you guys have been regular guests, and you can confirm or deny that we've always tried to keep it constructive, always tried to like, hey, let's just not take the easy opinion of like, this is bad, this is good. So yeah, very sad to see. And like I said, in trying to like figure out who should I talk to for this podcast, I was like, there's like these three guys are like the three guys like the whose opinions I would respect to be like objective. Because, you know, obviously I know, again, the comments are going to be like, you brought on this guy, he hates that game. You know, like insert both sides, he hates that game, he hates this game. But like, I trust you guys to have like actual objectivity and play the game that you feel like this speaks to me more, but I can see why this game is appealing. So yeah, sad state of affairs. I'm sad to see that this is where we've kind of ended up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, glass half empty, half full, right? Because at least there's two options, right? We're only
Bro,
there
okay, I was
because-
just gonna say the most miserable thing is just having no options. I'll be honest with you.
yeah.
I've been thinking about
Yeah.
it the whole time. I've been getting flashbacks just having Overwatch. That was miserable. I'm be honest. Just like, at least when Overwatch is bad, I can hop on the Rivals. When Rivals is bad, I can hop on the Overwatch. Back in the day, we just had Overwatch. That was genuinely. I talked to many people, you included, many of you guys privately. Nobody wanted to be on that train. It was fucking terrible, right? And even though the communities are really annoying sometimes, can't really do much about that. At least there is something else to do. You know what I mean? Like, at least there is something else to do. And I genuinely, you don't know how grateful I am for that. I am escaping that little bubble of only having to play Overwatch is the biggest godsend I've ever had in my
Oh,
career.
by the way,
Like,
you could still do that. By the way, you can play both. You just have to
yeah,
pretend that you hate the other one while you play
Yeah,
the other
yeah,
one. That's like
yes, yes.
that's all I'm
And
saying.
then,
By the
but
way, like
My titles were because people kept coming in and be like, "Did you quit Rivals for Overwatch?" And
oh
then when I
god,
played Rivals, "Did you quit Overwatch?" I just started making my titles. I quit Rivals for Overwatch. Today, I quit Overwatch for Rivals. I'm playing Deadlock today. I quit
yeah,
Rivals
yeah,
for Deadlock. It's like and people are like, I actually get baited to come in. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
fuck that game. I was like, bro.
yeah. You've like reversed the rage bait onto them. You know what I mean? It's
Bro, the
like
amount of people that came in, they were like, fuck Rivals, fuck Overwatch. It's like, brother.
And that's one thing I'm at least happy for you guys. Like again, from the outside looking in, I'm so happy that you guys have actual options because I do remember those days. I remember when it was like, wow, I actually wanted to play a game I liked, and then like 80% of my viewership was gone because people were like, "You're not playing just Winton Overwatch." It's like, oh, brother, can I
and then
live?
Platts is talking about the light at the end of the tunnel. Like we're in 2021, we've all got like our hoodies on. The light at the end of the tunnel, we see it. But now we're here. We have Deadlock too. Like SB, you honestly
Deadlock
should
is
get a
great.
Deadlock gang together.
You're gonna
because,
love Deadlock. Have you
dude.
played Deadlock SVB?
Have you played
I
SVB?
played like really early when it like came out, and you know
Play it
people were
now.
trying to play it. I think Bogur and I we
gotta
played
play
like
it.
a
As a
few
Dota
games,
player,
but
as a Dota player,
you would love it, dude.
I did like a lot about it, but I was just like, my biggest like push away was the same as Overwatch. Just like I can't be bothered just like aim training and shit. Like I'm so over that shit. I'm so over like just like having to keep up with some, you know, like with like fucking SK who's just gonna be like no lifing this shit, bouncing off walls and like you know
I'm so with SVB at this point. It's actually
jetpacking
scary.
into
Yeah,
the
but
sky, and you're
hot
just like,
take,
pew, 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 pew.
hot
And
take.
I'm like, dude, I just want to like play for like 2 hours and just like you know not like have to
chill.
keep up
You
with this.
can though. I actually think Deadlock's like the first type of MOBA where you can enjoy the game that way. That'll be an episode for another discussion. That's how I've been playing. Like I'm kind of blind now. Like I can't really see. I do my glasses, but I'm blind as a bat. But I think it's actually pretty fun. But that's just
I do want to play it again. I just I mean I was on my Dota train anyways, and you know I'm sort of satisfied. I got where I wanted with Dota. I got to Immortal, so I was like, okay, I proved something to myself. But I think in general I err on the side of like if the maintenance of a game is tactical rather than mechanical, I'd rather that, right? Like I'd rather keep up with a game where it's just like I just need to know things than a game where I have to like constantly keep my mechanics up. Because like that's just for me a lot harder and more time consuming than just being like, oh, okay, I should actually play the game like this now. Like I should change my strategy a little bit. And that's also why I like, you know, like card games and like, you know, I want to play like Slay the Spire or whatever shit. So
I love Slay the Spire. I already have like 12 hours on the second
shit, yeah,
one.
I need to get on number 2
every day.
I need to get on
Slay
the
the Spire 2
number
is-
2.
All right.
That-
Well, I have one last question, SVB, before I gotta hop. One last question.
I was gonna get your thoughts
Have
anyways.
you watched? Oh, my thoughts. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I know where I already know where your question is, so I'll answer it later. But you tell me your thoughts.
Okay, we'll see if he gets it right, Boga. I bet you he does. Look, I think both games are good. I think Rivals is in a better position to blow up because I do think that the hero identity with a hero shooter is just too important, and like it's so easy for them to just drop Thanos and everyone's gonna get on. You know, like that's
Yeah,
just
but
the
you
nature of
drop
Rivals.
Thanos and then you play against triple support again, and like people are like, okay,
Yeah,
I want to play
True,
Thanos
but
anymore.
that's an easy fix, Boger. Like I do
Yeah,
think that I say easy. It's in. Well,
I mean, it's been a year and a half now, right?
Yeah, I know, but that's an easier fix than like launching a at scale or comparable Marvel IP level marketing media campaign. Like, you know what? Like, I would put my money on those devs solving triple support and like big gameplay issues in one patch. The degree of difficulty to do that, in my opinion, is easier than launching a full scale, like to the degree of Thanos or Deadpool Overwatch like cinematic verse. Like I think that's so much harder to do. Even if you do it perfectly, like Marvel's just so big, like they're just smurfing. Like honestly, they're literally smurfing when it comes to media. Like it's just free. So I think both games are great. I think this is the best result for everybody. I think that Rivals absolutely killed the Overwatch 2 era of Overwatch, and that was the best thing that could have happened for Overwatch. And I think the community has realized that and now appreciate how much better Overwatch as a game is because of Rivals. And I think that a lot of creators are really happy that Rivals is the game that it is because it's like the best content farm game ever for like if you are like really into that, like it's so good for you to do that. So I think this is best case scenario for everybody. I'm happy with it. And SVB, have you seen
Have I watched
Dota?
Dragon's Blood? Yeah,
Have
I
you
know where
watched
it's going. I know where it's going.
Did you watch
I've
it?
seen season 1. I've seen like
Okay.
a lot of season 1.
back.
It's not that
Tell me-
great.
I
Are we
knew
talking
you'd
about the
have it
Dota
right.
show?
Yeah,
the
Dragon's
Netflix
Blood.
Dota show.
The first season was good. I'll be honest, the second, I don't know if there's a third one. I didn't like the after
There's
that.
like
I
there's
like.
3 books, but they haven't done another one in forever, so I don't know.
I'll be honest, the
My-
first one was good. After that, I think it kind of fell off. At least that's my opinion. I might be
Yeah,
wrong.
I thought it was like entertaining enough. Like I didn't have like huge problems with it, but I also was like, it's not peak. But then to rage bait more commenters, Arcane season 2 was dog, bro. Arcane season 2 was dog water. Like season 1 was so good. Season 2 was so bad. It was just a music video. Was season 2 of Arcane. So
Everything's becoming K-pop, dude.
it was just like every other shot was just a music video compilation. Like I swear to God, I don't know where the
Arcane the
storytelling
musical.
went. It literally was. So, okay. Any other thoughts, guys? Thank you so much for your return to the podcast. Any other thoughts on the Rivals versus Overwatch debate?
Overwatch
Any-
sucks. Rivals better.
You're plus 10 social credits to you right there.
You
The only
gotta toss that one Twitter bait, man. There's got to be one to close.
The only
this.
thing is, part of me wonders if this is the peak again for Overwatch, like if this is like the new high. But Rivals, very interestingly, for those who don't know, is kind of just dead in Asia.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a world where if they optimize the game better, because like they've been working on it, it's gotten better over time, but it's still not there. If they actually optimized it more, so it's actually more playable, and maybe to either market it more there or whatever they would have to do to get into that scene more, they could blow up. Because like realistically, what does it take for a game to blow up in Asia? I don't actually know the answer.
Make
But
a mobile
Overwatch,
game.
for example, huh?
Yeah.
Make a
We didn't talk
mobile
about
game.
Overwatch mobile.
A mobile game, true. Actually, you're right. Well, actually, they're behind. Overwatch is about to come out with a mobile game.
Yeah.
That said, though, like it's huge in Asia. It's huge in Japan, Korea, China. Who's back in? They get their own exclusive events all the time. Rivals doesn't have any of that. I wonder if there's a world where if they leaned more into that, they could grow significantly as a game. Obviously, that wouldn't affect us as much here in the West, but that is still a area that they have not been able to break into, and that's a huge market considering they're based in China.
Okay, yeah.
I bet that's their. I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes their number one focus next year. Maybe this year they're still running on their schedule of like hero releases. Like they probably have everything planned out for like the last year or so. But if I was them, I would probably be like, that's our next untapped market because they've hit, I think, more than their cap here in the West, where people are going to come back every time for new updates and for new characters, and then they're going to leave. You know, you can't really grow much more than they currently have. Where's you can go next? That's their next demographic. Overwatch is already big there, and I don't think it's going to be able to either grow or shrink. Like it'll probably just have however many players it currently does, and it will come up and down as the seasons go, like most games. But Rivals definitely still has markets in Asia that it could target. See how it goes.
Will be interesting. Will be interesting to develop. It's also interesting how much impact that'll have on like how much will we feel it if those markets are thriving or not in you know where we are. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Any other thoughts you guys want to drop?
No.
Sam, you had something you want to say?
No, it's good to see you guys, and you know,
Same.
hold it down, boys. Hold it down.
Yeah. So thank you very much to Samito, Flats, and Bogur for returning with the podcast. I appreciate you guys, as always, giving me your time and love. And of course, you're always free to hit me up for anything that I can do for you. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
All right, you too. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.